It's officially official. Daniel Falkingham is the NORC Season 13 champion. But who finishes second, third, fourth, fifth? Want to find out? Well, NORC is live at the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway on Pit Stop TV. Welcome to the virtual Las Vegas, Nevada. Eric Brennan alongside on the mic this evening. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and I welcome you all to this evening's Pit Stop TV coverage of NORC iRacing Series 13. Will Klein finally grabbed a win on Season 13 last week at Chicagoland, keeping Daniel Falkingham at bay and out of the double digits in the win column for one more week, all while Chad Oxendine stretched his cushion over John Barry, which may just be enough to keep him in second. All the while, look at Sean Williams, Eric, up to the top 5 and potentially moving further up. Can Sean potentially run the table this evening, or does the 89 car fold?
Well, that's one of the many questions that we have. And hello, everybody, for what I'm sad to say will be the final time in 2021 that we're able to bring you Season 13 coverage with the NORC iRacing Series. And while Andrew Cardinale IV kind of hit the nail on the head, I know Falkingham pretty much has this thing signed, sealed, and delivered, but some of those subplots that we were alluding to here, like second in points, like that of this run that Sean Williams has been on, and look at all the drivers who are normally heavy hitters in NORC competition who have yet to get an asterisk next to their name to indicate that they were a NORC winner on the season. A lot of names that have been running up towards the front of the field throughout the season and have yet to get the job done. So you got guys like Sean Williams not only trying to find victory lane, but keeping himself up there in the top 5 in points. We have drivers who have gone to victory lane already this season, like Brett Pancari and Cody Miller, looking to end their season on a high note. And there's so many other storylines we're going to be keeping our eyes on here as this night unfolds here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And the Xfinity Cars, reminder, they put on one of the best shows this past weekend at Vegas. I expect tonight to kind of mirror what we saw there. Car 1 went to victory lane with Josh Berry there. We'll see if that's a good omen for somebody like Jared Darling should he elect to partake in tonight's contest. So much to keep our eyes on here tonight.
There is a lot to keep our eyes on, and you touched on a lot of the big points throughout the entire top 20. I mean, there are battles everywhere. Ones that I personally would highlight would be Sean Williams, Brett Pancari. Potentially, Sean Williams getting up there and getting to Zoltan Herczeg and joining that fight with John Barry and Chad Oxendine, both of which we understand may not be in tonight's race. We know Chad Oxendine won't be, but it's sounding like John Barry, Mr. NORC himself, may not be in tonight's race to cap off the season. That's huge. That is properly huge. And it does also give Chad Oxendine then a bit of a bigger cushion, 5 extra points on keeping second place, so that could be big. And hey, maybe Sean Williams then moves up into the top 3. Only time will tell. Again, some of those battles are at the top 10, though. You got to watch out for guys like Howie Brits. He could get 8th here. That would be big if he can get 8th on the season. You look outside of the chase, Sheldon Lockheed's just about got 13th locked up. That would be for the best position outside of the chase in Season 13. It's been a wild schedule to get here, though, Eric. 25 races. This is the 25th thereof. 2 mile-and-a-halves, 2 very similarly shaped and, well, exactly the same race distances. Very interesting to put Chicagoland and Las Vegas right at the end of the schedule, but oddly enough, these cookie-cutter, if you will, mile-and-a-half intermediate tracks have actually given us some of the best racing all season long.
Believe it or not, in the year of Daniel Falkingham, they've actually been a pretty good equalizer. Maybe hard to believe because if we go back to Kansas with the second race of the year, Falkingham took the win there. The next mile and a half that we had was at Kentucky, where Zoltan Herczeg took up top honors there in round 5. And then it kind of continues. You know, Chad Oxendine at Homestead. It goes on then to a couple of other intermediate speedways, of course. But if we keep the mile-and-a-half trend intact, you know, Falkingham struck again in Atlanta. But then we get to the last few that we had. Freddie De La Rosa, his last lap charge at Texas. Of course, then we had Will Klein get the win last week. But this track is unique in its own right. One of the next, we of course, Homestead's like kind of paved the way, pun intended, for the kind of gradual banking or the progressive banking, as they termed it back in 2003. Las Vegas, that was redone in 2007, they followed suit. 17 degrees on the bottom of the racetrack, 20 degrees all the way up top. But this formula for this 1.5 mile kind of D-shaped oval creates opportunities for guys to get big runs off the corner if they commit to that high side, or if you could hook the bottom, it could also kind of equalize, I would call it preference. And considering the fact that we're running here, at least starting this race in the heat of the day, this track is known to be pretty slick. And I expect that to kind of be a talking point as the night unfolds. Who can keep their cars planted and grounded while also being able to keep their momentum up? That may kind of parlay into who wins our season finale.
Yeah, we're going to see that beautiful day-to-night transition once more for the second week in a row now. Chicagoland last week, Las Vegas this evening. The NORC Xfinity qualification record, however, is a 29.337. That was set way back in 2017, Season 7. So a bit of different regulations on these cars way back in 2017. Similar but different, and they were on the, well, that was several builds ago. The race record is a 29.624, set by Nicholas Shelton back in Season 3. Those records are going to be hard to touch. So far, the best lap in practice is a 30.139. So that's 8/10 off. I don't think we're going to be seeing anything in the 29s this afternoon, this evening, but those are the records nonetheless. Las Vegas, one of those, it's kind of cookie cutter, kind of not. In fact, this is the only SMI facility, Eric, that I can think of that subscribes to this particular format for a track. Usually when you think of a motor speedway, a Speedway Motorsports Incorporated facility, if it's a mile and a half, it's like Charlotte, Atlanta, Texas. It's that quad oval kind of shape. This, and actually I guess Kentucky would fit into that shape as well. Here in Kentucky, the only ones that I can think of in SMI that fit this bill, but kind of interesting in that way.
And when they redid this track back in 2006, ready for the 2007 season, they went full bore. I mean, they made the now famous Neon Garage area, which was really one of the first initiatives of the fan-friendly, hands-on, get your face up to the glass and watch them work on the car's garage experiences. I remember when I went to Pocono Raceway as a kid, you used to be separated by a couple of fence partitions before you ever got up to the garage area. So when SMI kind of broke ground on breaking out this style of a layout for their racing surfaces and venues, it did kind of set the standard for a lot of what we anticipated to be the norm going forward. And now if we kind of look at Atlanta Motor Speedway and what they're doing there, a lot of people think that they're emulating the initial groundwork that set the pathway, if you will, for how this racetrack ended up coming to be. I know it wasn't the best contest as far as the Cup Series action that we saw on Sunday night, but if you go back and watch the Truck Series race on Friday, and more importantly, in reference to our NORC broadcast tonight, the Xfinity race on Saturday, this track is all and very capable of providing some incredible races from start to finish, and I truly believe that's going to be the theme of tonight's NORC broadcast.
As we get ready to continue on with said NORC broadcast, 5 minutes left in practice. We can quickly highlight those practice times thus far. I mentioned the fastest time was a 30.139 that's set so far by Daniel Falkingham. No surprise there. You can look through the times so far. You can see Bobby Chaney, Aaron Smith back in the field. Good to see him back. Howie Briss, Sheldon Lockie the top 5. Ariati close behind. Brett Pancari sitting on 7th. Cole Freilich in 8th. Sean Williams, Elijah Gracia back there. Justin Gable making a rare start. Good to see him here. Zach Lindgren is here along with his teammate Jared Wishon. Tom Mercier's back. Patrick Colby is here, of course. We got Spencer Owens in the field, Cody Miller, and Zoltan Hergzeg finishing out the 18-car lineup thus far as practice continues on its way. This is a very interesting track. I think there's a lot to watch out for. The biggest thing, and we've been talking about some of the differences, I guess, compared to other mile-and-a-half facilities. One thing to watch out for today is going to be in turns 1 and 2. I've got to find somebody that's on the racetrack and hopefully show it. This might not be the greatest time, but regardless, turns 1 and 2, you're going to see a lot of drivers, I think, go for the middle line, middle to bottom. You're not going to see too many guys towards the top, but 3 and 4, the racetrack kind of opens up here, Eric, and I think we'll see a few more drivers experiment. I think we might see some guys move around and try to move up the racetrack and try to open up that top lane.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, is once that top lane seems to come in, it kind of becomes a bit of a preference for a lot of competitors for the reason that we're seeing right here. Tom Mercier now kind of out in front of Elijah Gracia and getting sideways in front of him. The example we were going to try to build there was the fact that if you're able to keep your momentum up, it could be very hard for a car to get down to the inside and complete a pass off it, whether it be turn 2 or turn 4. But sometimes it doesn't happen initially. It takes a while for that line to come in. That day-to-night transition that you alluded to, that's going to be the key. If you go back and watch, I think, some of the spring races that were held in Vegas in comparison to what took place this past weekend, as we take a look at our current weather conditions for tonight's contest, when that track temperature, even though it's not all that hot right now in terms of some of the other races we've held, right now 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but when it really starts to cool off and the grip levels go up, I think that's when passing is going to be a little bit more of a premium. You're not going to see cars slipping and sliding as much, and I think that's when that top line will start to prevail, when the grip level starts to materialize a little bit more in the cooler temperatures.
Currently watching the Elite Motorsports drivers of Jared Wishon and Zach Lindgren getting some practice in here as Daniel Falkingham goes faster at 30.108, but these two drivers are displaying the multi-group abilities here at Las Vegas. And you can see Lindgren right down to the bottom side with Sean a little higher up the racetrack, and down to 1 and 2. They're using the top a lot more than I ever would have imagined, so moving around certainly, and we're going to go around, it looks like, down into turn at number 1. But regardless, these guys are moving around, showing that we can race in a couple of different grooves, and that, I think, is very, very promising for the rest of today's festivities. Here's Patrick Colby on the racetrack. Take a look at a few more cars as we get ready to round out practice. Again, there's Patrick Colby's number 9 machine. Here's Cole Freilich in a paint scheme that is brand new to him, a car that's brand new to him as well, making the recent switch from a Chevrolet Camaro to a Toyota Supra.
This was something they debuted with us, I lose last time out, 2 races ago, and Cole is someone who we always envisioned would be able to find victory lane kind of easily in sim racing competition. Runs a number of different cars, disciplines across the platform. But for whatever reason, in NORC competition, he's just had a lot of bad luck. And I think back to our race last week at Chicagoland, where he kind of charged to the front really early and unfortunately ran out of room and got into the wall off turn 2. And his night basically derailed from there after he pretty much knocked the good off his tires early in the going. I'm curious if that's going to change his approach to this race here tonight, because you're right, Andrew, that's a beautiful looking car. We love the super style and super bodywork. Remember, it didn't take long to watch one of those cars go to victory lane after the season opener went to that of Cody Miller, but oh my goodness, that was close with Elijah Gracia finding the edge of his car in 3 and 4. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Freilich kind of play that role of the spoiler. Not a championship contender or chaser, not vying for a top 5, top 10, or even top 12 spot in points, but someone who can make some noise here tonight in Vegas.
Worth mentioning that Elijah Gracia returns this evening to the site of his one and only NORC iRacing Series victory. That came way back in season, I shouldn't say way back, that came last year, season 11, 2020. So a couple of seasons ago, as he rises up Sheldon Locke a little bit. That's what that was right there. But he did end up leading 11 laps after starting 10th to win in season 11 here at Las Vegas not so long ago. As these guys continue to have fun, that's something they usually do. We will step aside and take a quick pre-race break, pre-qualifying break, if you will, and be right back to you with qualifying coverage from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Welcome back to the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Qualifying underway. You can see the sun is set a little bit more here, Eric. The sun is on its way down. That means temperatures are on their way down as well. We're right on the, well, I shouldn't say the verge of fall. We are in fall technically, so things could get a little bit chilly this evening. And hey, another driver is making their triumphant return this evening. It is Ashley Molyneux. First-time winner on the season way back at the iRacing Super Speedway, back in the field in that familiar blue and white paint scheme. She is currently third on the qualifying charts, while one man is working to put his name towards the top. It's Sean Williams in fourth. Immediately went to the top of the board along with Aaron Smith, and has jumped a couple of spots, but still looking pretty good on that number 89.
And how about Bobby Cheney? I mean, Bobby's been on a bit of a qualifying roll here as of late, and Cheney right now is sitting P1 by a tenth of a second, but we've yet to see one of the fastest cars in practice, and our NORC champion in 2021 in Season 13, Daniel Falkingham, lay down a flyer. Now we take a look at Brett Pancari. Pancari is working his way down the back straightaway. Got that win at Auto Club Speedway, the sole win for the driver of car 35, and you see the back end of that car, even running by himself, kind of skating around there through 3 and 4, and this is as the sun has made its way behind the grandstands, and this track still has a little bit of a slick tendency to it with these cars that are running in single car ventures here to try to lay down a flyer in qualifying. And how about Ariati? He's been on a bit of a roll too as well, Andrew.
Yeah, Ariati's been doing a lot of really good things lately. He's been swapping positions mostly with Terrell Baker, 14th and 15th, moving around a lot. And I think this will solidify him ahead of Terrell Baker. We don't see TCV in the field tonight, unfortunately, but this is going to be the one bullet that Sheldon Lockheed's got to dodge as Ariati goes slowest on the board so far, but you saw he was running the top side lap 1, and that'll change here on lap number 2, but he gets loose, and lap 2 is going to go. You can see he's 9/10 or so, almost a second off of pole time. That's what happens when you're up top. It's certainly useful as far as getting you a run up to lap number 2, but if you just get a little bit too far down into the bumps in the bottom of turns 1 and 2, boy, it's a problem. It'll get you very, very loose. That's what these drivers will have to contend with. Another driver taking a very similar strategy, Daniel Falkingham, as he goes slowest at first, but here he comes. He's going to go a lot faster.
This is going to be an attempt to try to close out a season with yet another pole. That's another category in which Falkingham led the 2021 stack column with, and he is right on the bottom. Look at the hands working here. Having to counter steer that car a little bit to the right there, coming through the corner, trying to keep his foot on the throttle. He'll cut it down all the way to the inside, and as he comes to the line here, Falkingham 2P1 with 20 seconds to go by less than 0.04 of a second.
That is pole number 8 on the season for Daniel Falkingham. That's number 18 of his career. He'd have to get to 23 to go ahead and move him into third, and that would actually be a tie for second place with Jared Darling. And I got to review the other driver, actually, who's in that tie. But Jared Darling, a lot of poles here in the NORC iRacing Series. That would tie him with Femi Ola and Jared Darling if he were to get just 9, not even 9 more poles. He's got to get to 23. What is that, 5 more poles he would be in that tie? That's incredible. Daniel Falkingham has come alive in season 13. Qualifying over, though, you can see we're looking at some fans that are apparently sinking down to their seats, it looks like, getting ready for a really, really good race, I think, this evening at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Let's take a look and let's meet your starting grid. Race 25 of 25. On pole, it is, of course, our mainer, our champion, Daniel Falkingham, just ahead of Bobby Cheney, nipping that pole away from the 24 car and putting the 20 on the top of the scoring pylon one more time in 2021 at the very least. Starting third this evening, well, actually in row 2, a couple of drivers making their return after several weeks away. Aaron Smith and Ashley Molyneux, both third and fourth. Big triumphant return so far in qualifying for each of them. Starting fifth this evening, Eric, it is Sean Williams. Howie Briss will start to his outside. Starting in the 7th position, Kentucky man Cole Freilich will start to the inside of Brett Pancari. Starting in the 9th spot this evening, it's none other than Zach Lindgren out of New Mexico originally, with Cody Miller, Daytona winner, to his outside.
Starting in 11th spot is where you're going to find Ariati, who's been on a bit of a tear despite not having the best of qualifying efforts. Car 23 will start in 11th. Outside, Jared Wishon, one of the most improved, we'll call him rookie drivers after joining the slate late. Car 27 will roll off from the outside of row 6 in 12th position. 13th starting position, Tom Mercier trying to end his season on a high, and outside Zoltan Herczeg with an opportunity perhaps to move up to second in the championship standings. Watch for car 96 coming from the outside of row 7 in 14th spot. Now back into the inside of row number 8 is where you'll find Spencer Owens also trying to end his season with a high in car 12. Outside, Justin Gable makes his return to NORC competition. He'll be rolling off the 13 car from the outside of row 8 in 16th spot. Sheldon Lockheed, the number 69, will start 17th outside Elijah Gracia in the 42 car in 18th position. He'll be fun to watch from outside of row number 9. And rounding out our fields will be the number 9 of Patrick Colby. We'll be starting shotgun of the field in 19th spot.
I will just go ahead and come out and say that we unfortunately do not have a Terrell Baker in the field. And it looks like, unfortunately, we're going to be sending off season 13 without a Yeehaw, but we certainly had plenty to live it up with and enjoy throughout the season. So definitely, I would suggest going back and watching some of the previous races after this one this evening if you want your Yeehaw fix. Unfortunately, it's not going to come here at Las Vegas. The field of 19 pacing down the Nellis backstretch. Of course, the Nellis Air Force Base just off the backstretch here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Oftentimes, you can watch them take off and do some aerobatics, I suppose that would be. Ariati taking out her camera there on the bottom side of turn number 3. It's pretty cool, pretty insane what they're able to do over at the Nellis Air Force Base and what you're able to see from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Getting ready for the green flag, Daniel Falkingham leading them 19 strong to the restart zone for the first time. The pace car going to dip down to the safety of pit lane, go between those two yellow cones, and leave the Mainer in control of the field. Green flag flies, we are racing at Las Vegas. Rolling the dice early, Brett Pancari to the top side, 3 wide through 1 and 2. Falkingham's got the lead to 3.
Faulkner came up quickly there to cover the spot over Aaron Smith and Bobby Chaney, who continue to run side by side for second spot on what's going to be a tough road to hoe on the inside of a couple of other cars with the sun still out on the racetrack, especially through 3 and 4. Falkingham leads lap 1. Molyneux right now rounds out the top 5, looking to try to get a spot back from Sean Williams, who's up to 4th, while now Bobby Chaney hunts the back spoiler of Daniel Falkingham for the lead off 2.
Single file of the top 6 out of the second corner on the second lap. Chaney digging maybe low. Will he go? He's going to look for it as Freilich slide job for the 5th spot. The 15 moves in front of the 45, taking that 5th spot away from Ashley Molyneux. The entire field working out of turn number 4. We got another change for position. Here comes Cody Miller to the inside of Molyneux. That 45, 51, whichever one you want to call it, is moving in the wrong direction and quickly.
Right now, Molyneux going way up the racetrack there as she tries to work the top side, and what may be a little bit early here tonight for that type of move, as Howie Briss is going to pull up there, and Cole Freilich, just like what we saw in Chicago, is starting to make some noise early in the going here. He too is trying to work the high side, this time on Sean Williams. But Andrew, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. You said that bottom line would be the preferred line, although Freilich's making some moves here. It seems like the top 4 are glued to that white line on the inside of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 4 laps into this race.
Oh, and that's the problem with the bottom side right there. The bumps in the bottom 1 and 2. That's why you'll move up to the middle as this run goes on. Early on, good tires, you can run down there. But as soon as those tires start to, lose their elimination, if you will, as soon as they start to lose that feel-good stuff, you'll have to move the racetrack in 1 and 2, but not to that top. I don't think that top is going to come in. But I've been wrong before as, wow, Cole Freilich working the top side really beautifully, up to 3rd across the line.
This almost has like a super speedway look to it here as he's pulling some company along with him as Aaron Smith got really checked up on the bottom. Sean Williams had to lift to let him catch it, and Freilich is going to try to bring that top side all the way to the lead. He's outside of Falkingham in 3 for the top spot.
Freilich has got it, edging ahead for now. Will he get a lap lead? He is going to, and that is going to break the tie between Cole Freilich and Nate Stewart down there at 60-something position for 10 laps led in their careers, now 11 for Cole Freilich.
tell you what, Andrew, you don't get enough credit for all the stats you compile for these races. That's incredible. And now we're looking out the back of Freilic's car, and you see the NORC champion for the season, Falkingham, remaining committed to the inside, while Daytona winner Cody Miller starts to work the outside here. And I'm a little bit nervous here for Freilich and company. This looks very, very similar to what we saw just 1 week ago at Chicagoland, where Freilich came to the front like a bat out of hell and evidently took a lot of the good off his tires and started to drop back about 15 laps into the run, while Falkingham seems very poised to fall back to maybe third or worse, while Howie Briss starts to work the top here, with Bobby Chaney plummeting out of the top 5.
And sometimes as a driver, you know that you're not going to be able to save tires, and you know that your best chance in order to gain track position early in this race may be to just push it on this short run. Hope that you get an early yellow, or even just that, well, you gain enough time early on that you don't fall back to where you were later in the run. Sometimes that is the strategy that you have to settle for as a driver. Sometimes if you know, again, that you're just not that great at saving tires, maybe that's the way that you do it. Sometimes it works out, and usually those are the drivers that we see take an extra pit stop and make sure they keep good tires in their machines. Those guys are not the guys that stretch fuel for very long. So keep up on that as this race goes on. Cole Freilich may take an extra pit, maybe even 3 pit stops in this race if it goes green.
That's something that we're going to have to keep our eyes on as well here. And considering the fact that 19 cars started this race, as we're on board with Aaron Smith, who starts to work the bottom of the racetrack, working the pit strategy of that nature, you may not get the assistance of a yellow. We'll see how much these cars slide around later on. But I want to echo something you said earlier, Andrew. Really happy to see Aaron Smith II back here. Made a big splash with a top 5 finish at Daytona to start the season. We've seen him run a number of other races on the Pit Stop TV platform, but it's been a while since we've seen him back in that familiar bright yellow number 70, and he's making some noise tonight, trying to get a top 5 spot away from Sean Williams, while Zoltan Herczeg has been the biggest mover in the field. Started well outside the top 10, now battling for that second spot on Cody Miller down to the inside. You see he started there in 14th spot, up to third, looking for second, and also looking for an opportunity to get up to second place in points should things fall his way.
Look at this stuff happening for fourth as well. I mean, there is great battling throughout the entire top 10. Zach Lindgren is up to the 8th position, battling with Howie Briss. It's incredible to think that Zach is in the forefront of our minds right now and in this battle, but he's 8th. There's a lot of cars stacked on top of one another, and we're starting to see one driver use the top side to his advantage. I did not think we'd see the top in 1 and 2 open up this much, but Zoltan Herczeg making hay up there already.
Remember, when this race started, there was still sunlight over here in 3 and 4. This day-to-night transition is happening quickly. The track is now completely covered in shade, so that may be kind of increasing the chances of that top line coming in a little bit, which Herczeg and company is trying to work to perfection. Herczeg will move that Supra up around fellow Supra in the field, Cody Miller. Falkingham is stabilized in the 5th spot, and Aaron Smith has his hands full between 2 cars trying to rocket their way to the front. Howie Briss up top. Lindgren just behind, Molyneux there as well, as she is stabilized in about the 9th position, while Sean Williams is dusting off the wall up top, and the rest of the field commits down to the bottom with the sun poking out from behind the clouds.
Lap 12 now in the books. Falkingham on his back heel right now. This is really interesting to see for Daniel Falkingham, but if you recall, back at Chicagoland, you've already made a lot of comparisons so far. We saw him drop through the field a little bit. Looked like he was maybe relaxed, as you might have a challenge for the lead here on lap number 13. Here comes the 96 car, almost exactly as you mentioned, 15 or so laps into the race. We've got to change for the lead. One of the guys that usually saves tires is better on these long runs, taking the spot away from Cole Freilich, but not without challenge from the 15.
It looks like Herczeg tried to slide up and take the air off the nose of Freilich as soon as he got the opportunity, and we saw how busy the hands were in both those cars. Now, could Freilich pull a bit of a slider off here on Herczeg off of 2? Herczeg hanging with him on the top side. Freilich's going to try to slide up here, not quite close enough to try to side draft if he wanted to. He'll remain on the bottom, and he slides up a little bit, this Freilich. That's a little bit off the bottom here. Herczeg keeps his foot in it. Freilich sideways off of 4.
These guys moving all around in these early laps. We're not even 15 into this. We're now on lap 15, and Falkingham starting to charge on Cody Miller. Here we go. 3-car battle, second, third, and fourth under a blanket. Cole Freilich suddenly his tires going away on that Toyota Supra. Same for Cody Miller. Here comes Daniel Falkingham down to the bottom side, maybe looking for third and 3 and 4. Yes, I think he's going to go ahead and take it. And here's that sun. So some cloud cover is going to change up the way this track races over the course of the day, over the course of the evening. As last few laps, it was dark over there.
I think that may give some of these guys a false sense of security in terms of grip levels going through that sector of the racetrack here. They may think that nighttime has approached, which I'll admit I thought that about 2 laps ago, and then I saw the sun coming back out. It may make them think they can continue to hold it wide open as the run goes on, but we'll start to see these cars slide a little bit more here as we continue to click off some laps, and we'll start to see some guys who are a little bit too aggressive early on in this race struggle to stay up towards the front, and we'll see some of those who were conservative in the opening laps start to make their way forward, like that of a Daniel Falkingham, who was alongside of Cole Freilich for the second spot as they approach turn 1. Before they even get to the corner, Falkingham cements the pass and then shuts the door on Freilich down low as they both close up on Herczeg, the leader.
And I think Daniel Falkingham is ready to put that 15 in his mirror and just, well, walk away. That's exactly what he's doing, as he's already passed it. Howie Britz is moving up a spot as well. Howie Britz, we saw him really strong in the early going of Chicago. Looks like he's doing the same. I was going on a tangent there with Cole, and I suddenly saw the 97 up a spot, then up another spot. He was challenging for 4th for the moment, now falls back in line, battling for 5th with Zach Lindgren. Lindgren on the top side. He might have something here. This is a bit of a home race for him here in Phoenix, the 2 closest tracks to his neck of the woods, as here we go, side by side for the race lead. It does not stop.
And it's awesome. I have no better word or adjective to describe the racing that we've seen in NORC in 2021 in Season 13 with these Xfinity-style cars. Awesome. Start to finish. Chicagoland was like this as well, even though the finish was a little more spread out than I'm sure that many of us would have hoped for. But just like that, Daniel Falkingham to the point. And as I said, Andrew, my biggest hope is that we see that double-digit win column, because I want to see what the stat graphic would look like, or the point standings graphic would look like, as to where you would squeeze another win notch in there next to Falkingham's name. The problem is he's got over 100 laps left to sew this thing down. Well, we got a great battle shaping up here for third on back.
Howie Britz way down to the apron, 3 wide on the bottom side, comes the 97, we got the 85 in the middle, and Cody Miller way up top, a manufacturer sandwich, a Toyota outside, a Ford middle, and a Chevrolet bottom. They make it 3 wide through those couple of corners, but now Howie Britz losing time on the bottom. I don't know that the top is going to be preferred, but in a battle, it will give you a bit of leniency. It will give you that run off the corner, as we see at so many racetracks across the country. We've just gotten used to that, I think. Momentum, of course, is so important. I mean, it is the way to race. You've got to conserve momentum. You've got to stay up top.
And we saw it there. I mean, Howie Britz went from being all the way to the inside, 3 wide on that battle, to now losing 2 spots to Bobby Chaney and potentially another one there to Sean Williams. Here comes Aaron Smith. We saw him start in the first 2 rows, fell back a little bit, now trying to take third away from Cole Freilich as he slides up the racetrack off turn 4, nearly gets together with Freilich on corner exit as they come across the line side by side. Herczeg and Falkingham kind of knotted together at the front of the pack. Freilich leading the charge third on back, with Smith now moving up to the high side to try to take that spot away.
Aaron Smith working up top. That will complete lap 21, the last time by the stripe. Now, I got to hit on something here pretty early. Daniel Falkingham comes into this race with a certain amount of laps led. There we go. 1,039 laps led coming into this race this season. That has already moved him ahead of Freddie De La Rosa, Zoltan Herczeg, who he's battling currently, Justin Lisenby, and Jared Darling in this season alone. Those are 4 really big names in this series. He only needs 13 more in this race to pass Marcus Richardson all time. Not this season, all time. So we're talking about laps led over the course of all 13 seasons of NORC. He is quickly on his way to hitting that mark. Already, this is going to be 10 laps led. 3 more laps led, and we have a new 3rd place in most laps led all time in NORC.
And a lot of that was in large thanks to his dominance on the road courses, kind of ran the table there, led every lap at both of those races. And think of some of the ones that got away, like that of Phoenix a couple weeks ago when Chad Oxendine made that late race pass. Falkingham seemed to have the dominant car and was furious he let that one get away, despite the fact that second place finish helped route him towards this NORC championship in season 13. So you said it way back. I'd have to rewind the tape quite a bit, Andrew, in order to find where you dubbed this the season of Daniel Falkingham. But some of the stats that you've been able to pull out here and just kind of illustrate and further highlight that, despite the fact these races have been incredible, it's just truly remarkable what he's been able to accomplish here, and just in some terms even better some of the full careers we've seen NORC drivers have.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy what Daniel has done, watching a battle here for third, but we really do got to continue to hearken this point home as he's about to pass Marcus Richardson for third place on that most laps led list. That would put him right behind Femi Ola and Bobby Zelensky. No surprise there that would be who he's behind now. But that's just so incredible that Daniel Falkingham is getting ready to pass them. This will be it. This will be the lap. Lap 26 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, race 25 of 25 this season, where Daniel Falkingham is going to pass Marcus Richardson as far as laps led in their NORC career. In the history of NORC, he's done it. That's his 13th lap on the evening. That's pretty incredible. I know a lot of you guys may not think of the significance there, but when he hears about this and he hears that he's just surpassed Marcus Richardson in something, if you've been a long-time fan of the series, you'll know Marcus Richardson is up there as the great of NORC. He's got the most wins. I mean, he is NORC. Daniel Falkingham just passed him in laps led. That's incredible.
Now, the question becomes, we're not only now 27, just beginning lap 28 laps into this race. How far can that number go? I mean, he's pretty much in a league of his own right now, is at a Falkingham as far as that statistic is concerned. And we're starting to see things really spread out, but not here, not at this point of the pack. This is incredible stuff we've got going on. Just behind that of Howie Briss, Spencer Owens with the new colors on his number 12 for the second week in a row is leading this pack here up towards the wall with Sheldon Lockie looking inside. He's got Jared Wishon behind him there on the Toro Rosso colors, or should I say AlphaTauri, or AlphaTauri, however you want to pronounce it. Fellow Red Bull colored car, Justin Gable down low on the inside. Brett Picari's in this mix as well. So while things have kind of settled out across the front 7 or 8, it looks as though we still got a fierce fight going on here in the top 10 amongst drivers who have their own agendas on the night.
Yeah, this is a really cool battle to watch. Jared Wishon in the midst of it here. Here's Elijah Gracia, 15th position, digging on the bottom side. He wants to get that 14th spot away from the 27 car, and look at that sunset. Some clouds overhead. A little bit rare, I think, for this time in Las Vegas, but hey, we'll go with it. It looks incredible. And Elijah Gracia, I think this is a race where we could see him move through the field as this race goes on. He isn't usually in the field anymore these days. He's gone to a much more part-time role. In fact, he's way down there at 30th something in the point standings right now. But I still feel this is a race where he could shine. Maybe not a win, per se, but certainly I think a top 10 is in order for Elijah Gracia this evening.
And I certainly think when we saw his name on the entry blank for tonight, he was someone that I thought for sure is going to find a way to be in the mix late in the going here. And he may very well just be kind of biding his time and slowly starting to work his way up through the pack here, and maybe also having a little bit of fun. Sometimes when you see some competitors in the field who haven't been able to make all the NORC races, but are certainly a fixture in the NORC community, sometimes I truly believe they enjoy racing amongst their fellow counterparts, and they may kind of look at the first few laps or the first few segments of this race as a time to kind of get in there and have some fun with some old friends, and then it'll get down to business when they get closer to the pay window opening. For Gracia, he's certainly been doing a great job here. We got Aaron Smith off the pace on the front straightaway. He might have gotten up into the wall of turn 4.
There was a very loud crunch. That's never what you want to hear. Also, Ashley Molino, she has dropped all the way back to 16th position. Oh, and she's going to hit Aaron Smith. What a save to turn 3. What about Ashley? She saves it on the bottom side. What just happened?
For a race that we thought was starting to calm down a little bit there, a mid-straightaway door slam from Molyneux into the side of Aaron Smith, who had a miraculous save entering turn 3. I mean, there was smoke coming off the back tires. I don't know how in the world he saved that car, but I got to imagine that they're both still quite furious with one another, and they're only separated by about a second and a half. What happened to precede this?
I doubt they'd be furious. These are two of the most laid-back drivers in the series, but annoyed potentially, and that could make radioactive next week. We'll see. Here's Aaron Smith's problem in turn 4. I heard the crunch, and out of the corner, boom, wall. Yep, just got a little bit tight. That happens here at Las Vegas pretty easily. There was the extra crunch. A little bit of Nestle action on the outside into the safer barrier, and down to turn 3 is where the problem arises with Ashley Molyneux. Here she is, looking to the inside of Aaron Smith. Is there something that we missed here? Do they have contact at a 2? No. She just lets the car drift up. And that just looks like brain fade.
Yeah, I know Molyneux. Actually, ironically, these two started alongside each other in row 2. So I'm not sure if something happened way into the race that maybe we weren't able to see because, Ashley kind of fell through the field a little bit earlier. I thought it was kind of a product of just trying to save her stuff early in the going. But boy, once Aaron Smith got back into her clutches, she kind of let him know there that she either wasn't too happy or, like you said, maybe just completely misjudged the arc into the corner. We might have to wait a little bit to find out an answer to this one here, but we'll certainly be keeping one eye on the 70 and 51, almost at 45, for the remainder of this race. They're back together again, and this time it looks like they're giving each other plenty of room with Smith still battling that damaged car.
Yeah, I doubt these two are mad. Ashley Molyneux, again, one of the most easygoing people in this league, and Aaron Smith right there with her. That just looked like a bad happenstance, to be entirely honest. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, especially about driver relations in that way, but I don't know. I don't think Ashley Molyneux would go up and endorse somebody on the side down a straightaway. That seems very much out of character for her. Then again, it was out of character for Sean Williams back at Bristol, so who knows. Back up front, Daniel Falkingham still leading the way. Zoltan Herczak second place. And how about this guy? Sliding in to third. Bottom step of the podium, bronze if you will. I mentioned this is a bit of a home race for Zach. Well, now he's out of North Carolina, but originally Las Lunas, New Mexico. That's where he and the Lindgrens call home, and this is about as close as you can get.
I got to tell you, Zach Lindgren, even though I haven't had the chance to meet him in person just yet, he is truly one of the nicest people in the sim racing, and I won't just say sim racing, I'll say racing community you could have a chance to talk to. He's incredibly outgoing. He's incredibly conversational. In fact, worked with us on Pit Stop TV, not just helping us out with socials in the past, but actually joined us on the call for a couple of races that we had. And even when there were situations where perhaps he would struggle with something to say, the authenticity in his dialect just kind of couldn't help but draw yourself into this person because you could tell the level of care, admiration, and respect was just beaming out of this young driver. And not only is he incredibly good at what he does, he's also an incredible driver in this series. And we've just been kind of waiting to see when the stars would align for him in order to find victory lane. And he's closing on Zoltan Herczak here for what is about to be a battle for second place. So I would put Lindgren's name atop the list of those who could play the role of the spoiler, from Falkingham being able to put a cherry on top of his season here and perhaps challenge for the victory at Vegas.
Zach went and got a few laps led back at the iRacing Super Speedway. Has led, I think, 1 or 2 laps since. And I think that brings his total to 3. So not very high. You can tell he's not been in the lead a whole lot, but he's been in the back end of the conversation. There's a reason he's top 10 in the chase. I think just about top half of the chase field as well. He has done an exceptional job this season of just staying consistent, keeping the car in one piece, and bringing the car home in its best condition as possible. He's been caught up in a few things here and there, and he's had some bad luck go his way. I think of Dover back when he couldn't quite connect for the start of the race, missed the first few laps. I think also of, what race was it recently? Darlington, where he didn't make the start. So the tracks that begin with D, maybe not his best, because I don't think Daytona went his way either, but at the very least, he's done a good job minimizing mistakes aside from those.
So if he does get a short track deal here in the Carolinas, he may want to avoid Dominion Speedway, Dillon Motor Speedway, like that. He doesn't want that trend to carry over for sure, as we know he's got some real-life experience over the last couple of weeks. But he is certainly starting to close in here on the Herzeg in what's going to be a battle for the second spot. And, hey, how about Bobby Cheney riding in fourth? Remember, we talked about how he's been qualifying really well, and unfortunately it's been a bit of a trend to watch that car kind of trickle down the running order and then oftentimes get caught up in something that is not his own doing. One of the most old-school throwback paint schemes you could find after Jimmy Spencer ran these colors in the late 90s. But Bobby Cheney, he did fall down the running order a little bit, now worked his way back up into the fourth spot. This could be a great night here for Bobby Cheney, who is running solidly up in the top 5 right now. As we see, Lindgren has been able to pull the trigger. I'll take the blame on that one there, Andrew. I started talking about Bobby Cheney, and we took our eyes off that battle for second, and that's all that Zach Lindgren needed. He wanted the attention off of him for him to be able to make that move. He's 2 seconds behind Falkingham. Now we get to watch and see if he's going to have a chance to close up that gap any.
I kind of feel like that's exactly how Zach Lindgren usually operates. You take the spotlight off, and he tends to shine. It's kind of weird. So it's almost fitting. So I guess we can go ahead and move away from him after I make one more point. You mentioned real-life experience. His real-life experience so far has been in a Skip Barber Mustang at Road Atlanta and a BMW E30, I believe, or E36 at VIR. And at Carolina Motorsports Park, actually. Those are completely different from Las Vegas Motor Speedway and a NASCAR Xfinity Series car, but I think just the patience and the car control have really helped him as of late. It's just helped him as a driver, looking for small little cues, and he's just really developed, and he was already pretty darn good. Could outrun me. He's outrun me for years, ever since we made the switch to iRacing from the old NASCAR games, but he's really developed in these last couple of years, and it has made a lot of headway. A couple of drivers who are making a lot of headway are going to be towards the back end of the field, and more so headway in making headlines in these little battles. There are a few. They're only separated by a few tenths back here. Pancari, Gracia, they're kind of spread out for now, but I assure you, looking at the gaps a few moments ago, they were not, and here we go. Pit stops already. It's lap 46. Can you believe it?
And they came down in a big way, so I would have to imagine there was some conversation, perhaps, being that this does seem to be a little bit early in terms of the pit strategy. And right now, it looks like this is the highest running car. We just saw momentarily there, Bobby Cheney was 4th when he elected to come down the pit lane, and we see a number of drivers joining him there. Justin Gable is in the pit lane, as well as Ariati, Sheldon Lockie, all in the pit lane. Should note here, while we watch the stop commence for Bobby Cheney, Tom Mercier has retired from the event, at least for now. Aaron Smith also shown many laps down after his contact with the wall, so we may very well be down to about 17 cars. We'll see if they're all able to stay on the lead lap when all's said and done, but boy, Ariati's going to give Bobby Cheney a run for his money on the pit exit and pass him before they hit the flat in 1 and 2. Remember, Bobby Cheney was running 4th, so this could be a blistering stop for Ariati should things cycle through completely.
And the lane time is the big indicator there. It's the 40.21 for Audi, a 40.92 for Cheney. That's just enough to make that pass in the pit lane. More pit stops underway. Here comes Cole Fralick. He's already out, a 14.08. That is about 7 tenths faster. And look at that, a 39.41, a really good stop there for Cole Fralick. That's going to be a second or so, and that should bring him right back into the midst with guys like Bobby Cheney. Actually, no, I think he was a little further back, but either way, he's going to cycle out a pretty good spot. There goes Audi and Cheney, so really not far out of this at all. Really good stop there for Cole Fralick. Spencer Owens also rejoining the field, a pretty good stop there as well. And here comes Justin Gable pressuring all of these guys, Patrick Colby as well. And Gable did just pit.
Spencer Owens, hang on. Wow, I thought he was going to get turned in front of Justin Gable right there after Fralick slammed the door on Colby, and that checked everybody off going through 3 and 4, as now Zach Lindgren's on the pit lane. And even as we wind down our NORC coverage this season, how about the new toys that we have for you on the bottom right-hand portion of the screen? Andrew, you were showing me this over the weekend, and this is truly going to help us understand why we see so much movement on these pit stops.
Yeah, there you go. So the pit stop time is that 14:27. The pit lane time is still counting. So the pit lane time is the total time from pit entry to pit exit, wherever that loop starts and ends. And the pit box time is that time on the right. That is the total time in the pit box for the pit stop itself. So a 14.27 for Lindgren, pretty good as well. 39.76, better than Cheney and Audi, but it's the better times on new tires that are going to help those two catapult themselves in front of the 85 car and take that spot away, those spots away for now, as it looks like Brett Pancari, we're going to come down to the pit lane very quick. He got down to speed, but only just.
I have many memories of Brett Pancari this season being able to get that car woed up just in time to get on the pit lane. He appears to be a bit of a perfectionist at that art, and it looks like he may, we'll know soon enough, have done the same thing here at Las Vegas tonight. While we watch Pancari make his stop, I'm a little perplexed at the ideology of guys like that of Falkingham and Herzeg staying out as long as they are, because I don't know that the benefits of catching a caution would be worth what it normally would on nights where we saw a little bit of a larger field, a little bit more cars that were going to be trapped a lap down. But nevertheless, we were only showing about 7 cars, well, really 6 cars on the lead lap, as Elijah Grazia now ducks to the pit lane. So that'll probably knock us down to 5 cars on the lead lap. We've all stayed out so far. So the strategy for Falkingham, this is going to create that rubber band effect that we talked about, but I can't forget, though, how he kind of mastered that art at Indy, where he ended up charging back late. We thought he was going to run out of time, but the fresh tires made a big enough difference for him to get back up towards the front of the field. So perhaps Falkingham is trying to take that pathway here, as we may see the pendulum swing in a radical form once these stops are completed because of the difference new tires can make.
We'll go back to something I said earlier on in this race, where the drivers that pushed their tires early would take an extra stop compared to those who didn't, or at least could, as it looks like Falkingham is going to pit right here. But this is what we've seen Daniel do a whole lot this season. Even if the pit stop numbers equalize, we've seen this so much from this driver. He always pits a little bit later, stretches the tires, stretches the fuel. It just tends to be the way he goes. I think the one, I guess, outlier all season long has been Indianapolis, where he took the extra pit stop and still made it work.
Yeah, now he is in for the stop is that of Falkingham, and this is going to be a lot of fun to watch the pylon kind of flip on us a little bit here, as we believe Sean Williams and Patrick Colby are the last 2 cars that have yet to come down. Ashley Mullen
long stop
coming down for a stop, and that was in fact a long stop, but despite that, he still has a sub 40-second pit lane time, so that kind of gives us an indication as to how well Daniel is in terms of getting on and off the pit lane there.
Well, that's aided by the pit box. He put it on pole.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So that's actually a good indication there, a good visual representation of how much that matters. And Patrick Colby has spun entering the pit lane.
Patrick Colby around at the very entrance of the pit lane. You can see a lot of empty boxes there in case we were to hit 40 cars or so. We haven't hit that all season, but I think next season we could hit that again. Patrick Colby, what in the heck happens here to this guy? I mean, pit entry is very tough in these mile and a halves, and right here it's just catching another driver out. I'd imagine he wheel hops right here. Yeah, last second braking, the rear tires chatter. It's a lot like at a road course where you just get on the rear, get on the brakes a little too hard. Those rear brakes, maybe they have a little more bias towards them. That tends to lock them up. And when you lock rear brakes, they don't just lock and slide. No, they tend to lock and shatter. And that is the wheel hop effect. They bounce like basketballs, and you have big problems. Well, Zach Lindgren has just taken over the race lead, cycling through. This is big.
So while Sean Williams was the last car to stop, he is on the pit lane now, or coming off the pit lane as we speak. Look at the difference that the cars that stopped on the first wave has made over Daniel Falkingham. It's a 2-second swing as Falkingham enters turn number 3 in 5th spot with Lindgren, Ariotti, Bobby Chaney, and Cole Freilich your front 4. The question now becomes, will Falkingham be able to drive his way on up to these drivers? And you saw right there, he gained 0.3 of a second in 1/2 lap, and he is closing quickly. That later stop may play right into Falkingham's hand here as they come off of turn 2 in what he hopes to create about a 5-car pack in 3 and 4 the next time by.
Yeah, I think Daniel will make easy work of these guys. At the very least, should make easy work of Freilich and Chaney. Audi might put up a little more of a fight. Actually, Chaney could put up a big fight as well. Really, all 4 of these drivers could, now that I think about it. Cole Freilich is one of the most aggressive drivers, and he's going to hate me for saying that, but he is one of the most aggressive drivers in a good way in this league. He's going to put up a fight to Daniel Falkingham, I'd imagine, but I think the speed difference might be what gets Cole Freilich at the end of the day. That said, these 4 up here are keeping pretty well pace with one another. Zach Lindgren leading, then Ariotti, Bobby Chaney, Cole Freilich. They're almost about equidistant, or at least holding that distance between one another. Meanwhile, here comes the 20 car.
I enjoyed this ebb and flow element that NORC has been able to provide. Granted, we're coming up in about 2 laps time, 60 laps caution free. We're inching closer to the halfway point, as Falkingham dives down to the inside on Freilich to try to take over that fourth spot. I don't believe the field's going to make it easy on him, and they may try to use that high line to their advantage as Freilich gets a good run off the corner, but Bobby Chaney may be checking Freilich up just a little bit, and that's going to give an easy pathway through for Falkingham to not only get by Freilich, but to also clear Chaney off of turn 4. But we've seen it many a times before, and I was talking, pretty much early on about some of my favorite moments in the NORC season, and I gotta say racecraft. I know that's a pretty wholesome element here as Falkingham looks low on Ariadne for second, but the racecraft of this field and the quality of racing we've seen, despite what seems to be a lack of yellows, sometimes at places where you would expect to see nothing but the caution flag, these drivers are able to put on such a show in the NORC television, the NORC broadcast we've been able to bring to you, and they're doing just that here tonight at Las Vegas as well, with Falkingham now up to P2.
And this will be, if the previous 3 passes have been easy, I think this will be easy as well. He's going to roll right up to Zach Lindgren, and I think these guys are getting into the long-run mentality. They know it's Daniel Falkingham coming up to pass, and they know that it's going to be really difficult to hold him on back. The HMS Motorsport Racecom Ford Mustang likely will give this up. We'll see, though. Hanging on the outside, Zach Lindgren might put up a bit of a fight out of turn 4. Daniel's almost got him cleared and by the line. I think that 20 car is fully ahead. But Zach isn't done just yet. Maybe a challenge to turn 1, still side by side, and the 85 is up top.
It looks like Falkingham's going to try to clear him. He got a little bit loose on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to slide up now in front of Lindgren, and he will cement the lead off of turn 2. But hats off to Zach Lindgren. I think he did exactly what he needed to do right there in order to try to help this margin stabilize. Give Falkingham a little bit of a hard time and give it a few more laps here before things start to level out. And we've seen the speed that Lindgren has had so far this evening. It may be a chance for him. Another driver on that adverse strategy that Falkingham was on was that of Zoltan Herzeg, and he's mired back in 10th spot trying to get around Brett Pancari and Justin Gable for 8th and 9th respectively.
Yeah, Pancari looks a little bit high of Gable that time. I think Gable may be the better driver in this case. But, hey, maybe Brett Pancari, as I can't get his name out, maybe a little bit of karma there is going to take that spot away from Justin Gable. So I think there's maybe a tire difference potentially as Bobby Chaney's got trouble. He's very slow, very, very slow on this front stretch. I'm not sure what the problem is. The car looks fine.
He is off the pace, and you're right. The car does, in fact, look pretty well intact for the time being. And this is unfortunate. This is someone who we highlighted was running 4th before the cycle of pit stops, as he is right in the middle of Herzeg and Gable and for a fight for a top 10 position. What a bizarre lap for Bobby Chaney, who went all the way down to the apron of the racetrack there and is now rejoined back in 10th position with Grazia and Howie Brisk closing up on him off 4.
I wonder if that was a matter of maybe a pop-up. I mean, let's be honest, we're racing on computers here. I wonder if there was a pop-up, a Windows update, who knows, that took over his screen for a moment, forced him to have to bail on that lap. That's the only thing that I can think of. What do you say we can take a look back at exactly what transpired? I would have to imagine something pops up on his screen and he's got to take evasive action, and that's kind of where this all starts. He was racing pretty solidly with Cole Freilich prior to this. This is the entire lap leading up to the moment. And you can see, he and Cole Freilich locked in battle. He had the spot. This was for 4th.
I mean, we've had this problem before, Andrew. Maybe a pet jumped in his lap or something. I mean, it could have been anything, or it could have been a little bit of help. Let's see what happens here. Freilich is right on him, and he gets into him. Freilich tags Chaney, gets him sideways. That may be one of the saves of the year as Chaney gathers it back up here on the apron, and it would have taken me a while to catch my breath after that one.
Now, earlier, you speculated as to whether or not Ashley Molyneux and Aaron Smith might be annoyed with one another. These two, they will be. I guarantee you they will be. This will be a highlight to watch for if we do get a NORC Radioactive of this race. And, oh, look at that.
I mean, you're not supposed to be able to do that. I certainly can't do that. I'll tell you right now, if I go back and watch Patrick Colby spin entering the pits, I've done it. I've done it many a times. That's why I talk about race cars and I don't drive race cars. I would never be able to do what Bobby Chaney just did there in turn 3 and hang on to that. And hey, we're just talking about the fact this race has gone green since the start. that was the chance that we had there to see our first yellow, and Cheney said, nah, not today. He may have fallen out of the top 10 for now, but he's still on the lead lap and still in contention here should things swing back his way later on in this race with still 16 cars on the lead lap.
And it was right at halfway as well. Now we complete 68, so we're officially into that second half of the race, the third quarter, if you will. A pass here, it looks like. Brett Pancari getting on by Sheldon Lockie, maybe? Yes, he's going to try. That 35 Chevrolet is on the move. He's now gotten by Justin Gable, potentially had gotten by Elijah Gracia previously, and now working on by the 69 car on lap 69.
Well, that's a NORC stat. Lockie
yeah,
working his way up to Vicari here. And Sheldon Lockie is someone who has also had a bit of a feast or famine season for the most part. Just missed out on the opportunity to get into the chase. Coming into the night, though, he is 13th in the standings, thus the best of the rest as they came into the race. With Ariati running up there towards the front of the pack, though, and a 16-point difference between them, Sheldon's got a lot to race for here. There's a little bit of bragging rights that come with being that first driver out of that 12-driver block. So for Sheldon, he's certainly putting it together here for what could be I won't say a career night, but a night for the season. He's only got 1 top 5 and 5 top 10s coming into tonight's contest, and he is loose off the corner trying to fend off Justin Gable, who dives low with Elijah Gracia in tow.
And I think Gable might have something here to the bottom side in 1. He's got the spot. I'd imagine Elijah should follow on through. That would be good enough for 9th. If Elijah can take it. Usually those two are in very similar paint schemes. Elijah Gracia this evening opting for something a little bit different and is going to work the bottom side in 3 and 4. And I'd imagine on the far side of this corner we should see a new position, number 9. And we do. Elijah Gracia going to take that spot over. Meanwhile, Bobby Cheney, Cody Miller and Jared Washon have been doing battle the last few laps. These cars, well, it looks like a little bit dinged up if you're Jared Washon. There's a little bit of damage to his right side.
Yeah, and Jared Washon is someone we talked about earlier as being one of the more impressive newcomers to the NORC field. Granted, he wasn't a full-fledged rookie in 2021. Despite the fact he's got a couple of beauty marks on the side of that number 27, he certainly has been turning some heads. Washon is someone who has certainly been fun to watch in the mix. Remember, Phoenix, they had the late crash. He's only had 7 counted NORC starts so far, but with that has come 2 top 5s, and 3 top 10 finishes. Jared is someone who Andrew and I have both talked about, as well as Emerson Arden and Trey Shuttlesworth, who have been on our NORC coverage throughout 2021. We really want to see what Jared can do for a whole season. So while we don't know what the cards hold for Jared in 2022 with season 14 of NORC, we certainly hope that Jared is going to be on the entry blank to put a whole season together and see what he has for some of the heavy hitters in NORC competition, because he has shown on more than one occasion he has what it takes to run up front, stay up front, and contend, even if tonight is not going according to plan.
Here we go. Justin Gable losing a spot now to Elijah Gracia. So Gracia starting to follow Brett Pancari through this field. And look at how he brisked in 11th. This could be a pretty good day for him as well. Trying to get up into the top half of the field. If he gets by Sheldon and Justin, he just might do so and move up into the top half this evening at Las Vegas. You do see Aaron Smith. He's jumped way down. 34 laps down. He is done for the evening. Tom Murray is here along with him. As you mentioned on that previous round of pit stops, there's battling all over the racetrack. Let's just be honest. There are close little battles everywhere. Pockets of battles, if you will. One that is surprising me, though, is Cole Freilich right now in 4th. And you can see these two are within a second, but it's not quite a battle just yet. It's just close enough to consider it at the beginning of a battle, I suppose.
Yeah, and this is following suit with what we saw at Chicagoland last week, where the tight battles for competition, the good racing, took place all throughout the race, even though the end of it seemed to come by a bit of a large margin in terms of victory. But let's not forget Zoltan Herzeg and Daniel Falkingham pitted around the same time, contrary to that of Lindgren, Adi, Freilich. So Herzeg's continuous momentumous roll forward is certainly beginning to catch the attention of some of these front runners here. And remember, a lot of these drivers pitted on lap 46, so if they would have doubled down on that metric here, that means by the time we hit lap 92 to 95, we could start to see that first wave of pit stops for drivers who were maybe going to try to make this 2-stop race, however, stopping a little bit earlier. That would get them a stop there with about 46 to 42 laps to go. So as Herzeg uses all the racetrack on the exit of turn 2 there to get by Freilich, Well, he didn't catch the wall. He came awfully close while trying to cement that move for fourth.
I say, Eric, you've caught along pretty nicely. By the end of this season, you're the strategy guy. It seems like you've got the strategy on lock this evening, and I'm just marveling in the battling. It seems like, no offense, but a bit of a switch from earlier in the season where I was trying to think all about numbers, and you were like, wow, these guys are awesome. And I think it's kind of switched here in race number 25. But we are working on to lap 80 here in a moment. In fact, we'll take lap 79 as, Patrick Colby. That was interesting, but we'll take lap 79 now. In about 30 more seconds, it'll be lap number 80. Only 55 to go. Once we do hit the stripe one more time, we're going to take a step aside momentarily. We'll go side by side, and you won't miss a thing.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Welcome back to the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I guess we don't really have to welcome you back per se, but hey, welcome back anyways as we are continuing on through this 25th race of the season. It's lap 85 of 134, watching the field go by on the front stretch at Las Vegas. A lot to talk about this evening, but one thing I got to talk about surely is our partners here at Pit Stop TV. Of course, Tucson Sound Art, where you can use promo code PitStopTV for 10% off of your order at checkout, as well as Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, where you deserve the best care that money can buy. Whiplash Media, the official graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV, and BAM Racing Videos by a race fan for the racing community. There's one car in the pit lane that is Ashley Molyneux. You might have just seen her go across the top of the screen, but Eric, one thing we've got to highlight is going to be this pit entry at Las Vegas. It's going to be tough.
have to get on the binders pretty aggressively to stop from speeding onto the pit lane, and we saw Patrick Colby lose it earlier. And when you think tough pit entries, you know, Dover comes to mind. You're coming off that massive banking down to a very flat, very short and unforgiving pit entry lane as we see another car coming in. That's Cody Miller. But here in Las Vegas, believe it or not, you're carrying so much momentum around the exit of turn 4 that even though you have all the pavement and available running room to get down to pit road speed, as Miller is utilizing every pit box to get to his stall, it still is quite the transition, and it's also quite the variance in speed. So we've seen it catch a couple of cars off guard here. I'm a little surprised that we're seeing stops this early here, as this would now mean if you're trying to make it to the end, that's probably going to be just about the longest you would run here towards the finish, except for some of the cars like Falkingham and Herzeg who stopped later. But I would expect to see the bulk of the cars come down around lap 90, 92. But nevertheless, I've been wrong before. Probably going to be wrong again as you see more cars coming down for the pit lane here. Next up being that of Bobby Chaney, fresh off that magnificent save. And he's going to come down here from the 14th spot as this next wave, or perhaps final wave of pit stops, is going to cycle through.
That looked to me like a potential penalty. Oddly enough for Bobby Chaney, he's only pitted the one time. Yeah, that had to be a penalty. I don't know what he could have gotten the penalty for, but that was just a pass-through in the pit lane. It's one of the most bizarre things I've seen so far this season. You can see it's just a pit lane time on the left, no pit stop time on the right, and he doesn't pit this time through. You know, I've seen a lot of things in my day, but that is not one of them, until now.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure that was voluntary by any stretch. Look at Jared with Sean sailing it in there. He slid that car way sideways to try to get it wound up. I hope he did it in time as we see that pit lane timer kick off here. As Andrew mentioned earlier, the clock on the left-hand side is your total lapse time in pit lane, and on the right is going to be pit stop time. So that clock kicks off once you enter the box, and we'll see how Sean does on what may be his last stop of the NORC slate in 2021. And hopefully he was able to get away with that one without a speeding penalty, because he got it for everything. He got it for all it was worth, and he will. He's going to be able to pull off here after a 14.57 pit stop, and he'll rejoin the fray after sustaining a little bit of damage early on. You see it there by virtue of the right rear quarter panel and that rear spoiler kind of knocked downward. And Sheldon Lockey is now next up to come down for a stop.
He's not the only one in. Bobby Chaney does now come down the pit lane. Not sure what the previous problem was, but he is finally in for service. Let's see what the box time is for Sheldon Lockey. A 14.6 and a little slow to get rolling. You can see that it was kind of a more ginger exit from the pit box, but that could just be to save those rear tires that extra little bit. And honestly, in a race like this, he just might need them. Not sure when our leaders will come through the pit lane, but we should see them, I would dare say, within the next 10 laps. That seems like very generous of a window to see these leaders finally come down the pit lane. Daniel Falkingham still leading the way. The weather, Daniel Falkingham. That was sideways at a turn 2. The weather has stayed pretty stagnant, Eric. Ever since sunset, it stayed about the same. 65 degrees in the air, 70 on the track. That makes sense, though. Laps are on the track is going to retain that heat, so even as the sun goes down and the moon comes up, it's not going to change a whole lot.
I think we've hit that point here where the track conditions have kind of maxed out for the most part, but boy, we're still seeing Falkingham kind of prove that you could stretch and press as hard as humanly possible. And just to give a quick recap here, as I think we're on the heels of watching this top 5 that's kind of been the top 5 for most of this middle stint of the race. Daniel Falkingham and Zoltan Herzeg were kind of the last 2 of the wave of front runners to come down and stop, while Zach Lindgren, Ariati, and Cole Freilich stopped pretty late. Falkingham and Herzeg were able to drive up through the field to first and third respectively, with Lindgren doing a great job holding down second, but we haven't really seen a seismic swing that's going to indicate Falkingham is in jeopardy of winning his 10th race of the season. But this is NORC we're talking about, where anything is in fact possible. We've seen a couple of really good saves, a couple of what could have been potential cautions, as we drop back and watch Elijah Gracia and Brett Pancari have a go of it for what is a race for 6th.
And this is a race that we watched a little bit during that side-by-side period. These two had drawn close to one another and have kind of stagnated since. Spencer Owens, by virtue of the timing screen, or the timer, well, ticker on the bottom left side, that's what I was trying to get to, is Zoltan Herczeg and Brett Pinkari are going to pit. Ruins my point entirely, but Spencer Owens, anyway, was getting up in there and was starting to battle with those guys on the tail end of that little pack. Zoltan Herczeg coming in, he will begin his stop. This is an important pit stop to watch. This is a complete swing from earlier on where he went longer, Eric, now pitting a little bit sooner. The undercut, will it work?
And this is the opportunity for him to make up some time. He was about, I'll call it about 5 to 6 seconds back on Falkingham at the time of the stop. Zach Lindgren also going to come down as well. 15 seconds flat on the pit box time and about a little over 40 seconds on the pit lane time. Here's Brett Pinkari exiting the pit lane. That was a great stop by his team. And Zach Lindgren from second going to join Zoltan on the pit lane right around the same lap. Lindgren went one lap longer, perhaps in response to Zoltan stopping to try to retain second place here as they work around on the left sides. They'll drop the jack here. That was a pretty long stop, I would say. Right in the ballpark, I would say, as a median stop at a 14.6, with Lindgren now rejoining, and the running order continues to shuffle, with Ariati now stopping.
A lot of drivers coming through. Cole Fralick is in on this lap, as well as Howie Briss. You'll see guys like Falkingham and Sean Williams, I'd imagine, go closer to lap 100, if not beyond. Audi, a little bit of a slide into his box, but that's all right, as his pit crew is just standing back and having a chat. I love it. I love the way iRacing works in that way. It's kind of hilarious to watch. You saw Fralick go on through the frame. Howie Briss is in as well, 14.53, but that's a sloppy pit exit. That's going to lose Audi a little bit of lane time. We'll watch that. And surely, it's over almost 41 seconds, so a little bit of a sloppy exit there. He'll still get the job done. Howie Briss will exit behind these guys. There's Cole Fralick. A pretty good stop for Fralick again. Justin Gable's in. Here's Sean Williams as well. I'm kind of surprised Sean Williams in a little bit earlier than I would have expected.
I thought Williams was going to try to stretch it like he did the last time. I believe he was the last car to pit on the first cycle of green flag stops that we saw. A little bit gingerly getting into the box there. What a difference we see between the teammates. We saw Cody Miller drive through about 1,001 pit stalls to get to his service station, while Sean Williams went the conventional route there and came in there and turned into his pit stall at the appropriate time as to what we would see on the normal stock car side of things. And Williams is released there with a 14.88 pit stop. Justin Gable also with a pretty long stop there at a 15.8, and that's a pretty long pit lane time there, and he was battling for a top 10 spot. This may put Gable behind the 8 ball, but Daniel Falkingham remains 1 of 3, now 1 of 2, now 1 of 1 to remain on the racetrack as Grazia and Owens come down the pit lane. That means Daniel Falkingham is going to be the last to pit in this cycle with under 34 laps to go.
This feels like Daniel Falkingham, though. He just doesn't really care. He does his own thing. He races the race, and usually it works out for him. We'll see if it does this evening. Last time through, it was a little closer than I would have expected between he and Zach Lindgren when it was all cycled out. This time he'll have a larger advantage over some of those guys once he gets back on the racetrack, but also a larger deficit. As you can see, he's got the entire field 1 lap down. What if a caution came out now?
Well, I mean, and that's the thing here. If the caution comes out, the rest of the field gets the virtue of the wave around or whatever. Falkingham would get to pit, get 4 new tires, restart in the lead. Should everybody else stay out and kind of circle their way around the pace car, he would still restart in first with the lead, with the freshest tires. It would be the ultimate win-win in his case. So really, he's got himself in prime position. The only remaining question is whether or not he would have enough time to get back up to the front, because he's certainly not going to come out with the lead, as we almost had contact there between Ariati and Sheldon Lockey.
Yeah, these guys might go for a yellow here, almost 4 wide through 2. Here comes Pinkari, and Ariati was on his left rear for a moment. These are all for position. These are 4 cars fighting that have all just pitted on different laps, and they're all fighting here. Cody Miller, the earliest of the bunch. He pitted 15 laps ago. Sheldon Lockey, 11 laps ago. Brett Pinkari, 6 laps ago. And Ariati, 4 laps ago. All completely different strategies. Pinkari is going to the top side. He looks. Cody Miller says no, shuts the door. And Lockey's going to dig down low. And the 28 gets loose.
Oh, man, Cody Miller got so loose I had to catch my breath here. As now Ariati's going to split the middle here down through the middle of the racetrack with Sheldon Lockey slamming the door in 3. This is phenomenal racing we've got going on here. For 4th on back, Lockie holds the spot off for Adi, darts to the bottom. As they hit the line here, it's going to be Ariotti moving up to fourth potentially, with Falkingham still yet to stop.
As all of this happens, the race leader is in. Daniel Falkingham finally in the pit lane. We'll quickly touch on that and see how long his pit stop is. 10, 11, 12, where is it going to stop? 13, 14. Bit of a long stop, not too bad. 14.83, and the pit lane time is longer than before, but still helped by that the pit box being the first on pit lane. The problem is that pit lane time is going to lie a little bit. It'll be shorter because he's quicker to that line, but overall he still has to accelerate and get out of that box, so it's lying a little bit. Bit of a long pit lane time a couple of times for him now. Brent Pincari, Sheldon Lockie, these guys still doing battle. It looks like, though, Ariotti has won overall.
Ariotti's going to win that race for fourth for the time being. Daniel Falkingham pulls out of the pit lane in third spot with less than 30 laps to go, give or take about 28 laps remaining. And he's got about 3 seconds, make that about 3 3/4 seconds to make up on Lindgren and Hertzeg with the laps clicking off. Of course, Falkingham probably is going to have the advantage here in terms of tires, but how hard is Hertzeg and Lindgren going to race him once he gets there? That may be the only variable, but I'm not quite sure anything is going to stop Falkingham here as he tries to mirror his pace that he had at the end of our race at Indianapolis, where he did a similar style pit strategy.
Well, there he goes, fastest in this race, 30.461, as we've got a battle on the racetrack. This is for 11th. Spencer Owens getting into it with Elijah Gracia. No, Elijah Gracia across his nose. That was close. Now Owens going to look down low. And Peanut digging on that white line, trying to find that 11th position and move the 12 car out of position number 12. Can he do it side by side down the backstretch? This is lap 107 of 134. And the 12 car is still digging down there as Falkingham goes even faster. Owens, I think, is going to get the spot. He should, as these two do battle. Howie Briss and Jared Wishon right in front of him.
Now, the one thing that could possibly derail Daniel Falkingham's opportunity here would maybe be another caution. These drivers had about 4 sets of tires in the pits. We've only seen them stop twice in a race that has been green since the start. So I would assume that if the yellow was to come out from this point forward, everybody on the lead lap, which would be all 15 cars, would come down and put a fresh set on for the run to the finish. So that would, in my opinion, that would be the only thing that could derail Falkingham's chances here at trying to score a victory.
That might be it.
Looks like
Bobby Chaney has just retaliated on the front stretch and tried to take out Cole Freilich, and it's going to take a heavier hit to Bobby Chaney. Drama in the last 30 laps, almost in the last 25 here, Eric. Bobby Chaney just retaliated and brought out our yellow, and all of that strategy, all of the possibilities for leader Zach Lindgren, out the window.
Or it could play right into his favor here. I mean, if everybody stops again, that's going to put everyone on the same plane.
Oh, we've seen Daniel Falkingham on the short run.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But if you put everyone on the same tires, then who knows? I mean, I don't know if he's been raced that hard yet with everyone on the same playing field. But let's see what happened here between Freilich and Bobby Chaney. In fact, I kind of missed this. He was out of the corner of my eye here. You were able to catch it live as it happened. This is Freilich getting a big run around the top. I saw Chaney up ahead with Sheldon Lockie just in front of him. And here comes Freilich down to the inside. Remember, these two had contact earlier, and Freilich was having none of it there. Chaney tried to slam the door on him, and there was the contact that brought out the first yellow of the race.
Just as you talk about a yellow, we get a yellow. Hasn't that happened before?
I'm the king of the announcer jinx, whether it be at NORC or anything, so I'll wear that title proudly.
This is clear retaliation here. They had the moment at a turn 3 earlier on in the race, and Bobby Chaney, he pitted rather randomly to slow himself down. It seems like at this point, waits on Cole Freilich, turns left in front of him. I mean, this is just unacceptable. It's unfortunate that it happens in the last race, and there's no penalty that can come from this in this season, aside from maybe taking some points away, and hopefully that is considered, because that's not what you want to see.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is our championship battle was pretty much decided, at least for P1, but nevertheless, there's still a lot these drivers are racing for, and the victory, of course, is agenda number 1. So very unfortunate element that we see here transpire, and I'm not quite sure what Bobby Cheney was doing. He pretty much knew he was going to get turned here. Freilich almost got away with it if he was able to keep it outside the outside retaining wall, but he'll sustain some damage there after Cheney was the one who went spinning broadside, and this is going to throw this race into a bit of a tizzy here with just under or coming up on 20 laps to go or so after Zach Lindgren was the leader at the time of the yellow.
And you can see that's changed. I don't know how you bet against Daniel Falkingham, especially in Vegas. I don't know how you bet against Daniel Falkingham with the lead for the restart on even footing. I mean, unfortunately, that takes everything interesting about this race and throws it out the window. Bobby Cheney, congratulations.
Well, I trust in Zach Lindgren and company to see if they're going to race Falkingham as hard as he's been raced all season long. The championship is already his. He's got a lot to be happy about. But if we set up a short run of the finish on a track like that of Las Vegas, I would imagine that things are going to get a little bit exciting and spectacular here, especially with it now being nighttime. The grip levels are going to be about as high as we've seen them all night long. And this is going to be something for sure, as we're at least 2 laps away from getting this race back going.
Well, while we're under this caution flag period, somebody that's made some ripples today, well, it is the driver of the 85 car. You got to meet and talk to him a whole lot on Saturday. What do you say talking to him for a couple more moments here?
I'm always down to have an opportunity to talk with our buddy Zach Lindgren. And Zach, I'll tell you what, on the NORC side, it's been a career night. We had you kind of busy on Saturday with helping us cover some of the GT3 action we had. But you look like you're having a lot of fun, buddy. This yellow leveled the playing field. What do you got for that 20 car?
Well, this did put us on a big level field here. I'm hoping that we were kind of even on that first run when it came to saving tires, when everyone was on the same tire, and I kind of had to drive up a little bit more through the field, more than Daniel did. So I'm hoping that with this, I might be able to keep up with him a little bit more. He's just so fast. He's been so dominant all year. If I'm able to take a second to him, then I'll be happy with it. If there is one person that I want to beat in this league, or 2 people that I'd want to beat, it's Daniel and Zoltan. So, no, like you said, we're having a great night so far. I really was wishing that caution wouldn't come out, but it is what it is. We're going to keep driving, and we're going to hope we finish here.
Seem to have the right attitude, of course. Now, granted, the championship is pretty much decided and already put in place. Do you have it in your mind what Falkingham is racing for himself here, or are you just focused on the agenda for you in car 85?
I know he's racing for himself. I mean, we all are. We all know the champions, Daniel, but I mean, we're all racing for that one win, and that one win to beat Daniel. So right now he has his own agenda. I have mine. We're going to race it out as best as we can. He's a fierce competitor, so I'm kind of excited to see how this is going to go.
Well, Zach, I want to wish you the best of luck. We'll give you a half lap here to get yourself zoned in. Zach Lindgren, great job so far tonight, buddy. Hopefully we chat with you in just a little bit.
Hey, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you for bringing me up. Thank you for Saturday, too. That was a lot of fun.
It's always fun. We got a chance to hang out with you, buddy. Go get him.
Thank you, sir.
And again, that is Zach Lindgren, who's going to restart on the inside of Daniel Falkingham for this upcoming restart. It's Vegas, baby. Andrew, what do you say we settle this thing a little bit of under the lights shootout?
Well, who is going to roll the dice? That's the question. Everybody on the same bet. They've all got 4 tires. I guess you could say the blind is the same across the entire table. We're waiting to see exactly how this restart goes. Daniel Falkingham, Zach Lindgren to the restart zone. Falkingham chose the outside for this restart. Lindgren then down low. Falkingham launches, and we're back green flag racing on lap 114 at Las Vegas. Oh, Zoltan Ergzag, a little sideways, catches it. Red 96 might still be good. Here comes the 23 to the bottom side. Ariati 3 wide down in turn number 3.
He gets loose on the bottom, has to catch it himself. Howie Brisk, Cody Miller squirts to the middle and try to get by.
Oh, here we go.
Owens gets tagged. They save it. Owens up into the wall. Miller got sideways there as well. They're still bouncing off each other in trouble.
Big crash. Sean Williams hard on the outside wall. Cole Freilich and Cody Miller, the catalyst there. And Cole Freilich gets the short end of the stick, certainly. The Apex Action Racing photography, no longer very photogenic. It is destroyed.
Night has gone from bad to worse for that of Cole Freilich. We saw him get involved momentarily in the first bit of contact and incidents that took place with Bobby Chaney. This time it appeared as though he was simply wrong place, wrong time. After they got 4 wide and bouncing off each other, keep your eye on the black car. Cody Miller, Hallie Brisk squirts by, Spencer Owens, doink, they save it. Owens into the wall. Now there's still 4 wide. Freilich through the middle. Gable hits him, knocks him into Miller, and there's the big crash down to turn 1.
Yeah, further review actually shows just how much of a role Justin Gable played in all of that. Just a couple of cars trying to go 4 wide. I guess 4 cars trying to go 4 wide at Las Vegas. That's what's going to happen, especially coming up off the apron like that. Spotter's not quite helping those drivers in that scenario. There's the initial action. Gable is going to go middle with Cole Freilich, and it's at that point in time it launches Freilich into Cody Miller. The only thing I hope for is the drivers watch the replay before getting angry about that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and plus, we kind of figured that was going to happen here, right? It's the end of the run here at Las Vegas. We know this track is capable of producing that style of racing here in the latter stages. I don't know how in the world Daniel Falkingham got the launch that he did off that restart, but there was, well, I'm glad we did this shot here, Andrew. On board with Sean Williams. I didn't realize he shot Sean Williams into Cody Miller. Miller was pretty much just a pinball from off turn 4 all the way to turn 1. And Williams and Freilich and Gable all had to come together with Miller in turn 1 that created that most recent caution, our second yellow of the race. And it comes at a rather pivotal moment in this race as well.
Yeah, that really all gets started by Sean Williams. He gives this little boot scooting boogie to the 12 car, and that gets Spencer Owens into Cody Miller. That's what makes them all scramble. So all of that, oddly enough, starts by Sean Williams.
Racing karma at its best, I suppose.
Yeah, Sean got the other short end of the stick, I suppose, right there along with Cole Freilich. Let's take one more look at things here. So this is Sean Williams around the top side. It's a little loose there, maybe. Starts to think about going to the outside of Spencer Owens, and that hole just closes up. There's the contact. They all scramble, and that is what slows the 28 down, opens the door for the middle, and everything goes awry from there.
That was a pretty hard hit for Cole Freilich there as well. Well, 2 hard hits. He backed into the wall pretty square that second time through, and I feel for Cole Freilich. We mentioned this earlier in the night. We were talking about him. He's someone who I started to, at least in my mind, in following these sim racing events, I kind of put him in, the category of someone who is a threat to win week in and week out, no matter what he's driving or when he's driving it. Just NORC has not been in his strong suit in 2021. It's just been kind of tough to watch the bad luck kind of find its way to him. And in some cases, like we alluded to multiple times, Chicagoland was something that may have been a bit self-inflicted on his end. So, but tonight, I would say in both incidents so far, I don't necessarily think that he brought him upon himself. I don't think that the retaliation by Bobby Chaney was pretty much necessary there to kind of kickstart this wave of what we hope to not be yellow fever. And this incident here, just trying to get his way back up towards the front, and ends up in a pretty poor position down in turn 1 that slows the field for the second time tonight.
While it does so, I'm noticing somebody else moving up towards the front of the field. Let's focus on some of the positives here. Brett Pancari, 4th place, will restart on the outside of Sheldon Lockie, of all people. Good to see the 69 car up front, but how about we talk to the driver of the 35? 1 win on the season, 1 win on his career, and it happened on the West Coast at Auto Club.
And that, of course, is our buddy Brett Pancari, who we saw him kind of get really hot and heavy into the pit lane. Worked out for him here. Now running up in the 4th spot, Brett Pancari. Brett, these intermediate tracks have been really good to you so far tonight here. I know we still have a lot of this race left to play out, but how do you like your chances up here on the front 4 with less than 20 to go?
I think the key right now, if I can get ahead of Sheldon, might be okay, but I'm trying to save the right rear a little bit because it's a little bit sketchy on the short run, the right rear. I've been fighting the whole run. If I could get clear of Sheldon, then maybe I may have a chance of a top 3, but a lot of these guys are going to drive their cars into the ground, and I might be doing the same thing here.
Last race of the season, last opportunity at a victory. I mean, is there any other strategy you could take towards the finish here? You want to try to play it safe and maybe try to be the lone survivor, or are you more inclined to try to drive that thing in the ground here to put an exclamation point on your year?
More along the lines of just kind of hold my own and, either survive or this car will be driven into the ground, in the wall, in the catch fence somewhere.
Well, we're looking forward to watching, my friend. He'll be restarting outside of row 2. Brett Pancari looking for win number 2 on the season. Good luck, bud.
Thanks.
And that's Brett Pancari, as we said, going to start outside of Sheldon Lockie. And you heard him, Andrew. He thinks he's got to clear that 69 car in order to give himself a bit of a shot here at these front runners in Daniel Falkingham and Zach Lindgren, who have pretty much been the front two throughout the night so far.
Looking through the field, you can see where some of your favorite drivers might sit on this restart. Could this be the money restart for all these guys in Las Vegas? Daniel Falkingham, well, he's certainly going to try and make it so. He's going to launch one more time off the top side and get a massive restart, I'd imagine, once again on Zach Lindgren. Yes, another really good restart. We're back green at Las Vegas, and Herzeg way down to the bottom.
Herzeg wasted no time, nearly 4 wide for second spot. They are 4 wide for second spot, and Herzeg makes the move on the inside.
Bit of a jump on the restart. Don't think that's illegal here, and it works out for the 96. It puts the 85 on his heels. Zach Lindgren's got to fight to the outside now. Zoltan gives it to him side by side for 4th behind, and it's the 35 and 69. A crossover maybe from Zach Lindgren. He's going to fight down there on the apron. He's down to the inside of Zoltan.
Daniel Falkingham is looking up in the rearview mirror and loving this as they flash their way by Justin Gable, who comes off the pit lane. Lindgren trying to work the bottom side off turn 2, washes up the racetrack to get a good run down the backstretch, with Herzeg holding down the second spot, about a half second in arrears of Daniel Falkingham, the leader. Pancari 4th, Ariati 5th, Lockie in a side-by-side battle with Howie Briss and Ashley Molyneux right now, trying to hold on to a spot here just outside the top 5.
Herzeg, fastest of the race so far, a 30.244. The 69 and 97 doing battle. The 51 trying to find a way around. And Lindgren checks up. Here comes Pancari for a podium position. The 35 on the inside of the 85. Down to turn 3. And Pancari's digging for Dale. He's almost got it. Maybe. Side by side still. And the 23 is in tow. 3 wide. Make him 3 wide across the line.
Wide there for 3rd, 3 wide behind them for 6th as well as they come down to turn number 1. Pancari still towing the line. He gets loose. Adi has to avoid. He nearly ran in the back of Brent Pancari off turn 2. Lindgren will hold 3rd spot for now, but Adi pulling up alongside of Pancari.
Molyneux now in front of Lockie and in front of Briss and in front of Miller and LaShawn. These guys still going at it. The entire field is battling here at Las Vegas. The guys out front, they are taking off like those jets from Nellis Air Force Base. Still side by side, maybe not out of turn 1. Pancari finally gets in behind Ariati. Now is going to try and regroup as Molyneux digs down low. Lockie now has a great seat for it all.
Trying to make the inside lane work to get herself up to the top 5 to close out her season despite the damage to the back end of that race car, with Lockie trying to close out his season as strong as possible. All the while, Herzeg has been able to cut into that lead ever so slightly on Falkingham by about 1/10 of a second with 10 laps to go. Adi may not be done yet. He's all over the backside of Lindgren for 3rd.
He could have a pass right here. Aries there, moves the 85 up with a little bit of air, I dare say. Side by side, down to turn 3 they'll go. Do we see a slide job attempt from the 23? No, he's going to sit content right on that left rear. The leaders are nearing. We follow this for now. Zach Lindgren still hanging on to 3rd. Molyneux in tow behind Pancari and Adi. And there's a lap car that these guys have to deal with. Sean Williams well out of the way. He gets out of the way for everybody down to turn 1. That might hold up Ariati. He can't go down to the bottom where he's been so good. Oh! Cody Miller hard on the fence.
Let's see if that's going to draw a caution. He's up on the wall at the exit of turn 2 and has that car almost on its side, but still pointed in the right direction. Miller's going to abandon ship perhaps as Patrick Colby closes in. We're still green. We go by another lap car, Cole Freilich, with Herzeg trying to close up on a leader while Molyneux is not done yet. Here she comes for 5th spot on Pancari in turn 1.
They're going to work by Cole Freilich in turns 1 and 2. Low on the bottom side, holds down low. The leaders, it's a 10th and a half. Zoltan Herzeg wants to break the tie with Daniel Falkingham, and Freddie De La Rosa. They are all hung up at 13 wins. They've been so for several weeks at this point. This would be the tiebreaker.
Mentioned that number 13 being a little bit unlucky in terms of the all-time win list. There's been a bit of a snag there for these two. The last few weeks, we haven't seen Freddie De La Rosa for the most part. Perhaps one start that he's made since his win at Texas, while Herczeg gets a good run off the corner. The last couple of weeks have been so frustrating for Zoltan Herczeg. It's been much documented by us here at Pit Stop TV over the way in which he drove at a number of racetracks, including that of Darlington, even at Chicagoland last week. He wants to end the season on a high note as the outgoing champion to the driver who is just in front of him. Just a few laps to go here with Herczeg now trying to find a way around Falkingham for the lead.
Great point you bring up there as we hit 5 to go that time by, or I think that was 6 actually. Regardless, Zoltan Herczeg, the most recent champion, Season 12 of the 1987 NASCAR Cup Series cars. Daniel Falkingham has clinched this championship in Season 13. They are the two most recent champions. Great point as we hit 5 to go this time by, and it looks like the fire underneath the seat of the 96 is starting to dim.
Looks as though he's going to give a big charge here towards the latter stages, but looking to work the high side. Falkingham, though, at this point, you just have to will yourself and your car to try to stay wide open as Herczeg nearly blipped the wall out of turn 2, and he lost some ground there. You have to keep the foot flat on the floorboard if you want a shot at this thing here, and I'm not quite sure that Herczeg's going to have enough time, but there is another lap car up ahead. That may be what Herczeg needs.
I don't know. I think at this point in the race, in the season, they're going to get on out of the way. That looks to be Cody Miller, though, so anything could happen here. Cody Miller down low. Zoltan's down there. Falkingham going to go high, and Zoltan will get on by that 28 car easily. It'll be 3 laps to go this time by. The gap is starting to spread. Meanwhile, the fight for third is on. Ariotti has been side by side quite a lot with Zach Lindgren while we covered the leaders. Now they're nose to tail, and they're still going to go at it.
And this battle just won't go away, and it's probably going to rage all the way to the checkered flag. Lindgren, Ariotti, both who have been very hot at this stage in the season, trying to end their year with a podium run here at Las Vegas, with Adi trying to size him up off turn 2. That's a big run here for car 33. Sean Williams again on the bottom of the racetrack. May have to abort mission, does Ariotti, trying to get to the bottom. Runs a little bit lower to get some clean air on the nose. A good run off the corner. And here he comes on Lindgren through the tri-oval with time running out.
Zach is full defense right now. The way he is getting down on that apron with 2 to go, he is just preventing Ari from getting down there with the runs he's getting out of turn 4 each and every time. He's got to keep doing it. He might have it at a 2 here, though. Ari's down there. Side by side, they will go. Bankari dodges, and the lead is all kinds of split up. These guys might catch Zoltan Herczeg and go for second. The 96 may have caught the wall. The white flag presented by Tucson Soundart is out on the season for the NORC iRacing Series.
It may be a perfect 10 for Falkingham, the NORC Season 13 champion, out in front of the field, while Herczeg and company are going to battle for second on back. What a season it's been for Falkingham. Even though he had his title under wraps, he wanted to do just this, lead the field to the checkered flag for the end of the season. Andrew Cardinale, the fourth, looks like he's going to do it.
Daniel Falkingham is finally going to do what he's been trying to do for weeks on end. A champion? Check. Several wins? Check. The 10th win, though? Check. For Daniel Falkingham, he makes it, as you said, a perfect 10 on the season.
Herczeg able to hold on for second at the checkered flag, and in that incredible race to the finish in third, Zach Lindgren is able to fend off Ariotti for a podium spot. Herczeg, the outgoing champion, passes Daniel Falkingham, the new king of NORC in 2021. A congratulatory bump from behind by Ashley Molyneux, who sends her regards to not only our race winner but our champion. What a way to wrap up a dominating performance and a dominating season for the driver of car 20.
And while it may not be that win that Zoltan Herczeg so desperately wanted to grab before this season was over, you can pencil him in, I do believe, as second place in the championship. Daniel Falkingham is going to burn it down, and this might be the most deserving burnout of his life. He has finally completed the season. We knew he was going to be champion for some time, but now it's official. Officially official. Daniel Falkingham, 10 wins on the season and a championship.
I mean, we talked about it before, Andrew, but, you know, Falkingham made it quite clear quite early if you remove Daytona International Speedway, kicked off the season with wins at Kansas, wins at Michigan, went on to dominate the road course race at Road Atlanta, and we mentioned the sudden offseason passing of his father, which if it were me, it would have absolutely derailed my efforts to do anything productive, and Daniel used it as a bit of a motivator. His dad was one of his #1 supporters and fans, and he's able to bring home the NORC Championship to, well, not only he, but his family as well, and he's celebrating this one, and it's been quite ironic that despite the fact he's had the solid runs that he did in the last 2 races of the season, both at Chicagoland and at Phoenix since he last won at Darlington, he's been quite dejected at the fact that he has not been able to do this. He's a driver who's here for wins. He says it over and over again in his post-race interviews. Tonight he gets to celebrate both the championship and the victory. And as you said, and as we'll keep repeating, double digits, his 10th of the season, in what I'll still dub one of the most competitive NORC seasons ever.
You saw the graphic a moment ago that moves him into 4th all-time in wins in the NORC iRacing Series, surpassing Zoltan Herczeg, and Freddie De La Rosa finally breaks that unlucky number 13. He recently, as in this race, passed Marcus Richardson for 3rd in the all-time laps led category. The records keep coming in. Maybe not records just yet, but darn near it. The feats, we'll call it, for Daniel Falkingham keep coming in, and I'm sure they will continue to keep coming in. What a season, and what a career it's turning into for this guy. A lot of laps led, a lot of races won now. He's moved way up. He started off this season at, let's see, 4 wins. 4 wins. Where does that put him? Outside of the top 15, tied with David Shutt and Cody Miller now. Instead, he's now up to 14, and in front of some of the best, in front of some iRacing pros, those being Benjamin Nelson, Freddie De La Rosa, Zoltan Herczeg can almost fit in that category. A lot of great drivers. He is in front of them.
That's one of the things that I think drove the point home, and I'll mention to all of our viewers, and I've said this before, and I'll probably say it again in our closeout, when Pit Stop TV was fortunate enough to have this partnership with NORC for 2021, Andrew Cardinale IV, the NORC participant in his own right, was someone who was able to grab the stat book and give us so many different elements of information. You see it there on the bottom portion of your screen. 9 different drivers have won this season, 2 of which for the first time. Ashley Molyneux back at iRacing Super Speedway and Brett Pincari at Auto Club. They each grabbed their first win of the season. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later on. But Andrew, when you pointed out to me that if you were to take Daniel Falkingham's 2021 or season 13 stats by themselves, including tonight's win at Las Vegas, it would be something that a NORC career driver would love to have bookend their racing resume from start to finish. And Daniel's been able to accomplish all that he has. Granted, as you said, he collected 4 wins prior to the start of the season, but what he's been able to accomplish this year is truly amazing when we compare it to that of some of the NORC greats in the past. And it's something which Daniel, I know he's got the mentality to focus forward. I'm sure he wants to go out and plan to win his next league race, his next iRacing event, whatever may be next for this driver. He's going to quickly shift his attention to that as soon as we log off here tonight. But he deserves the moment and the opportunity to savor in this moment for all the reasons that your statistics have outlined coming into tonight's race. This is remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, he's got over 1,000 laps led on the season. Came in this season, let's double check that number, with 1,039. Add whatever it says on this, 108. So that's 1,147 laps led. That wouldn't quite, that would almost, in fact, that would be within 100 laps led of Freddie De La Rosa's entire time in NORC. That puts him in the top 10 all time just this season alone. That beats out Tyler Ducharme, Anthony Emery, John Barry, Chad Oxendine, Josh Robin, Benjamin Nelson, Ariati, Bobby Chaney, David Shutt, Cody Miller, Will Klein, Hunter Combs, Malad Radman, Nick Northrup, Nicholas Shelton, Terrell Baker, Scott Liss Rambler, Andrew Freenage, Alex Peck, Tommy Gossett, Delonta Ballard, Brett Pincari, Caden Henry Oaks. I could go on and on and on. The names on that list. You can throw Logan Clampett in there. You can throw, I believe Kane Cook has run some races. I know there was there are a lot of eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series drivers that have run in NORC that never quite did anything like this. Now, a lot of them, yes, they were more part-time, but even on a race scale, They never dominated quite like this guy has this season. It's pretty incredible. We will go ahead and talk to the driver. He's ready. May as well go ahead and talk to him right away, shall we?
Oh, yeah, I fully agree. Let's bring him on in here. And Daniel Falkingham, Andrew Carnali has had the opportunity to do the winner's interview with you 9 times. So I'm going to be selfish here on the season finale and kind of pull you all to myself here. 10th win on the season. Finally, after albeit 2 grueling races of trying, you grab that double-digit victory to put an exclamation point on the championship. Could tonight have gone any better?
No, it couldn't. I guess the only way it could have gone better is if it went green all the way, so I didn't have to maximize my pit road and stuff. But yeah, I'll tell you what, I've got the best pit crew on pit road, that's for sure. Going from 3rd to 1st on that last pit stop to give us the track position to go out and drive away, do all that stuff. Heck, great car, great pit crew, great everything. I don't think anything else could have gone better. So it's really awesome right now. And boy, I guess that's how you cap off the season, cap off the championship in style.
I mean, Andrew Carnali has a statistic bookprint of your year that's probably about 3 inches thick. We mentioned led all the laps at all the road course races. You captured your 8th pole here tonight, led over 1,000+ laps, moved your way up through the all-time win list, lap leader list, you name it. But nevertheless, the fact that you're able to close out a season of this caliber on a night in which you still were focused on capturing the victory, I guess my first question for you here as far as this race specifically, that late caution, it looked like we were starting to see a repeat of what you did at Indy when we kicked off the chase for the championship, except the yellow may have potentially derailed your efforts. You had that great pit stop you mentioned there, but what were you thinking when that yellow came out?
Yeah, I wasn't too fond of it because I knew if I didn't get a good pit stop, then I was going to have to race my way around Zach, Zoltan, and albeit Zach, he was really quick tonight, and I felt like he was going to be really good on the short run, so I knew he was going to be hard to pass. But pretty much the main guy I wanted to get around is Zoltan because I know how fast he's been all year. We were pretty much the top 2 battling all year long, and him as being the reigning champion too, I guess it feels good. I guess I get to take the crown from him and whatnot, pass it down to me. So I think that was a fitting end for me and Zoltan to duke it out there on that last run, pretty much the top 2 in the season. All year since, I thought this race probably was so spread out. I kind of wanted to see how this race would have played out if Chad, Zoltan, and so much Will and how many more people we could have had. But last race and whatnot, we had a small crowd. But yeah, it was an intense last run, that's for sure. And I'm just glad I could hold off Zoltan and cap it off in the way I did.
Unbelievable way to end the season. I'll credit Andrew Carnali IV for passing his total on to be 1,147 laps led on the season. But I feel like tonight came down to those restarts, and I didn't see anybody get a launch like you did. Was that something you were prepared for in terms of this race? I mean, granted, the first 110 or 15 laps went caution-free. It seems like your late race restarts, the back-to-back ones that we saw, really gave you a chance to clear this field with relative ease towards the end. How did you get such a launch like that on a night in which we didn't see too many caution flags?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, of course, you got a really huge advantage when you're the leader, because you get to dictate when you go and launch and stuff. It's pretty much. I mean, I tried to wait a little bit long to see if I could stack the field up a little bit and then gun it, and I think that seemed to work. But I'll tell you what, Zoltan going from 5th to 2nd there on that last restart, going 3, 4 wide. I thought for sure if I could just get a good enough restart, I could just drive away. But when Zoltan, how good his short run speed was, I mean, yeah, those restarts were pivotal to try to see if I could get a good gap on the field, but Zoltan, he had other ideas. So restarts were more crucial than I thought they were going to be, but thankfully it was enough where I could prevail there.
And I'm talking to Andrew Carnali IV a lot leading into this race. Obviously, we knew you pretty much had the championship under wraps. We also knew how badly you wanted to win. We talked about it a couple of times, Daniel. Obviously, off the racetrack, it was a very tough year for you and your family. You allowed that to serve as a motivating factor. I know that you participate in a number of different racing leagues. You're very active and involved in the community, and you've obviously proven on a number of levels that you are darn good at what you do. On the broader scale, where does this rank for you in your sim racing career?
It's huge, honestly. I mean, a lot of people may not think that. I mean, I know this league gets repped as like a meme league because we wreck a lot and stuff, but seriously, I feel like this is one of the best seasons we've had in terms of racing because we've had a lot of green flag racing this year, and we do have a lot of stout drivers. Like, NORC is a really good league. So if you're ever thinking about joining NORC, come on over, because the racing over here, and it's really easy to interact with everyone over here. And like I mentioned, all the good drivers that come over here and race. I mean, heck, to join the names of like Femi Olat, Marcus Richardson, Bobby Zelensky, John Barry, Freddie De La Rosa, Benjamin Nelson, Zoltan Herzeg, to join those names as champion, it's incredible. It's a really incredible feeling. I mean, yeah, and I like you mentioned all the off-track stuff. It's definitely at the start of the year, probably the worst I've ever been mentally in probably my entire life. So it was definitely a struggle, but like I said, like you mentioned, that was extra motivation to go seal the deal this year. And there's a few, like you mentioned, all the leagues I run, there's a few more leagues that I am chasing a championship too, and I'm more motivated than ever to go win those ones too. So, but right now, I do want to dedicate this win to good old Pops. I know he's watching down on me tonight, and I bet he was watching down on me the whole season. So, very proud to have won this for him, and just glad to be able to do what I do on a really high level.
I'll tell you what, Daniel, it's been incredible to watch you grow as a racer, as a person over the length of this NORC season. It's been a privilege to cover you throughout this capacity, and I'll bring Andrew Cardinale IV in here as he's sending me some more statistics. I think he's trying to give you some more things to chase, perhaps as added incentive to come on back next year in an effort to defend this title. But Andrew, I know that you've talked to Daniel a lot so far this season by virtue of his wins and now officially putting the cherry on top of this championship run. And you're telling me that, even though this has been just about as close to a perfect season we've seen in NORC, he's still got some more things to chase here, is what you're saying?
Yeah, there's a few numbers that you could bring up. That 1147 on the season now brings you up to, let's see, 2,728. That is third all-time in the most laps led in NORC. That's just 508 behind Bobby Zelensky. I know that's kind of an abstract number. That's one that isn't going to be in your brain a whole lot, but one that's easier to follow, buddy. You're now only 15 wins behind Femi Olat. While, yes, you'd have to double your current win total and add one on top to tie him, you are getting up there with some pretty good names. Fourth all-time on that list. You're up there, buddy. You are one of the NORC champions. This isn't necessarily NASCAR level, but you're enshrined at least in NORC history.
Yeah, I don't really look a lot at a lot. I do like watching stats. I do like seeing stats of other people. I really never focus on myself particularly, but just to hear those numbers, that's honestly kind of crazy to think about. Something I never would have thought about. And just like you said, all the names that I get to be alongside as champion it's so cool. So I feel like, when I came in here, what was it, 3 years ago, I knew I had a lot to look up to because there was a lot of stout names, and this is when I first was getting started on iRacing, really trying to prove what I could do. It was hard. It was hard to race against these high level names, but now to how much improvement I've made over the last 2 or 3 years to be able to perform at the level I am now, it's so surreal. It's kind of crazy to think about at times too. So, I can't say anything else. I'm just lost for words. It's crazy to think about. So. Hopefully we can build on some more of those stats and more of those numbers next year. But right now, we're just going to sit here. We're just going to soak us all in. Just call myself NORC champion. It's honestly crazy.
It is pretty crazy, buddy. We'll let you get to it. We'll let you celebrate after this evening. There's certainly a lot to celebrate about. I am going to get you with one more stat, though, all right? 18 poles now total. That is 8 on the season. You're just 5 behind third place on that list as well. That's actually tied for second with Femi Olat and Jared Darling. So you're pretty close in that regard as well, buddy. Keep it up. Cannot wait to see where you go next season and beyond.
I appreciate it, Andrew. I just got to thank all my First Rate Bay Loft 207, all my personal sponsors who have been with me since 2018. I just got to thank for all they do for me. I also got to thank you guys for doing the broadcast all season long. I don't stress it enough. You guys kill it every single week. The production, from pre-race to post-race to social media, you guys hit it on all cylinders. So yeah, I've loved having you guys broadcast this season. I wasn't really sure how you guys would do this season, but you guys blew my expectations. So definitely going to go back and watch this race. That was definitely a good one. And hope to see you guys again next year. Hope to see you guys, if FTRL is going to happen, we hope to see you guys over there. But just got to thank John Barry, who unfortunately wasn't here tonight. Got to thank him for putting on the show. I know a lot goes into this league, and I know we give him a lot of crap all the time, but really he does a lot for this league. So thanks to him. Unfortunately, you're gonna race tonight. Thanks to everyone who comes out and races each and every week, being able to push me to the best I can be. Got to thank who else? Man, I'm running out of words. Got to thank Sean Williams, who actually stepped up for Admin tonight to replace John. So thanks to him. Got to thank all the fans. We have a lot of fans who have supported us each and every season. I know a lot of the favorites weren't here tonight, like TCV and all of them, but heck, I guess there's some other favorites that you get to root on and stuff. So appreciate all the fans for showing their support every single week. And thanks to my friends and family for all they do, for all their support of me. And also, one more time, I got to dedicate this championship to my dad as well.
I think that's certainly a pretty noble cause there, buddy. Best of luck in the future. Cannot wait to see where you go with things. Cannot wait to see you grow as a sim racer. The sky is the limit, buddy. Cannot wait to see it. Go get them.
I appreciate it, Andrew. Thank you guys so much.
The season of Daniel has concluded. 108 laps led, the cherry on top with the victory. 10 on the season now. Yeah, it's pretty safe to say this guy is pretty darn good at winning races, especially in the NORC iRacing series. There's somebody else that's pretty darn good at winning races. He comes up second place this evening. It is Zoltan Hergzag. Wasn't maybe the tail end of the season that Zoltan wanted, but I think certainly still a lot to be happy with, especially in this race. Second place for you, Zoltan, and it's going to help you, for now, we would imagine, catapult up into second in the standings.
Yeah, I was after that Daytona win, I got busy in real life and I lost the feel for the car. I don't know. I didn't have the speed like I did at the early parts of the season, and that bad race at Indy kind of didn't help at all, and just kind of went downhill from there. And then I was screwing around at Darlington, and it was definitely a fun season. I just wish I could have been able to be a little bit more competitive towards the end. And I couldn't figure out the car in the long run with the right rear wearing off like it was the past few weeks, and I just really wasn't able to get a handle of it. But it was tough racing against Daniel. Daniel's been on point all season. He's had that feel to the car, and he was just clicking on all cylinders from the get-go. So congrats to him. That was a hell of a season that he put together.
I know it wasn't the chase that you wanted. We saw Darlington. We saw a couple of struggles, including at Phoenix. The car change from the Chevy over to the Toyota, trying to scrap things up here late in the season. It's going to help, obviously, that we didn't have Chad Oxidine and John Barry in the field, but I think as a whole season together, certainly still second place is deserved for this number 96. What was the game plan going into this race? Obviously, you had to go out there and collect some points. Did you want to go down in a shootout between the couple of champions, you and Daniel, or did you want to just, what was the game plan? How did you imagine things going? Did it fit your expectations?
Since everything was kind of locked in, it was just all out to try to get the win and try to learn something, because I really needed to learn that little bit extra. And I had the short run speed, and that last run, it was tough with the dirty air. I was just super tight behind Daniel. But I definitely came into this race just wanted to have fun, just like the past, like actually the whole season really. Just because I don't get much time to race, so I really get like one race a week, and I want to just have fun with it, not go crazy with it, you know.
Well, hey, it's a season well done. A pretty solid season to back up a championship last time around. Can't wait to see what you do in the future here in the NORC iRacing series. Who makes it happen for you?
My halfway decent computer that gets me into the races barely, and that's about it, really. I want to thank everybody for coming out and watching, and thank you guys for broadcasting.
Well, thank you for the show that you put on, race after race after race. It was a really good season of racing. You were a big part of it, buddy. Pat yourself on the back there, and have a great night.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Zoltan Hergzeg finishing second this evening and projected to take second in the standings as well, Eric. He came home right in front of another driver that almost had a shot at going for that second spot, Zach Lindgren out of now Troutman, North Carolina.
I'll tell you what, we got to talk to Zach before one of those late race restarts, and now we get to talk to him again here by virtue of his podium finish, which is a great way to cap off the season in what was his 6th top 5 of the season and 15th top 10. Zach Lindgren, we said that you were here this season in NORC competition in a big way, despite not being able to reach victory lane. If you had to pick 2 drivers to finish behind, you kind of preluded to this in your interview before we went back racing. I think to come best in class to that of Daniel and Zoltan, now our last 2 NORC champions, you picked a good field to follow to the checkered flag. Are you satisfied with this result overall?
Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with it. Obviously, I would have liked to battle at least right there down to the end for the checkered to take it home, but it is what it is. I mean, Zoltan got a heck of a restart. I didn't even want to try to block him because it might have created more mayhem, so I just let him have what he had, and he brought it. He brought it on that restart, and then after that, it's just a matter of trying to keep up with them, and they were so quick on short runs. I didn't practice short runs all race long. I knew it would come down to long runs, and that kind of came back to bite me. So, yeah, no, like I said, if I'm going to race 2 people in NORC, it'd be those 2, and obviously I did, and they bested me right at the end. Just goes to show how good they are and why they're championship caliber drivers.
That race between you and Ariati there, which we're getting glimpses of here on our highlight package we roll while we have this conversation, down to the end was one of the best on the racetrack. Thought you two were going to make contact on more than one occasion. I know you were on the winning end of that battle, but how much fun did you have there in those closing laps trying to fend off Ariati, who, like you, has been on a bit of a tear here in this closing stages to the NORC season?
Yeah, I mean, Ari and I have been it seems like every time the race comes down to it, I'm around Ari or Ari's around me. It's been so much fun to race him. I know he's past winner here. I don't know if he's a champion or not, but he's also a past winner, so it's really cool to be racing against him. And no, it was so much fun right there at the end, if I'm being honest. I thought a few times he would get me. I just had to run as defensive and as best as possible. I was running down my stuff as much as I could. I knew I wasn't going to catch Daniel and Zoltan, so it's just a matter of running my stuff as clean as possible and keeping in front of Ari. It was so much fun. Like you said, I thought we were going to make contact a couple of times, but I'm out of breath from it, if I'm being honest. That was a lot of fun. He's a hell of a driver. He kept it clean. I know he would, and I know he will. Ari's just a clean driver, so man, that was a lot of fun. We were talking about it at the end of the race. He was saying that if that's one way to take a position, that's the way to do it. So that was so much fun.
That was good stuff from our perspective, and as Andrew Carnell IV, our official statistician here at Pit Stop TV, points out, that was your 7th top 5, tied with Will Klein for 5th most on the season, and you led 11 laps tonight. That gives you a total of 14 laps on the season. To run this well in a series this well known like NORC, does that give you a bolster of confidence in your sim racing or even just generic racing career? We touched on some of your off-track involvements and activity. Does being able to compete with people like how the structure that NORC is made up of, does that give you a bit of a boost in terms of your confidence as a racer as a whole?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I came to NORC because I wanted to see where I would stack up against the talent in this league. I knew the talent in this league was immense because I know pro drivers come in and race here. I mean, I raced against Femi there for a little while. I know Bobby Zelensky's been in here. Logan Clampett, I believe, has been in here. So, I mean, just the overall talent in this league is phenomenal. So I did want to come in and see kind of where I stacked up against them, and to come in and 14 laps may not be a lot, but it's more than I thought I'd have this season. So like you were saying, it's a huge confidence boost for my iRacing career in general. Maybe just my racing career in general, knowing that I can, on a computer, I can keep up with these guys. So a little bit of confidence anywhere I go for racing. So I'm glad that I was able to match up with them as well as I was. I'm glad I was even able to make the chase. The first few races didn't really go our way, but I'm happy to have that chance to fight for a championship my first season in, and to finish as well as I did tonight. It's just a huge confidence boost for next season. But to hopefully finish top 5 in points because of this is just tremendous, knowing that the amount of talent in this league is just so much further than a lot of leagues.
Well, we'll certainly do our best to crunch the numbers as far as where things fall at the end of the championship. I know you're right up there in the mix. And Zach, I know I told you this off air. You joined us on the Pit Stop TV broadcast booth last Saturday for some GT3 action we had. I think you're a darn good broadcaster, but I think you're an even better racer. And I love seeing you compete in your natural element, which I'll consider that the cockpit of your race car, whether it be in virtual or real life. It warms my heart to see you do so well, buddy. I think you're one of the most genuine and authentic people in our sport, and I'm happy to see you finish off the season like this. I will ask you, though, who makes it possible for you to have nights like you did tonight where it all comes together for you with a podium run?
Eric, I appreciate it, man. Hearing those words from you, knowing that you're an actual broadcaster and this is what you actually do, that does mean a lot, and I really do appreciate it from your standpoint. It was awesome. I was telling Andrew, it was awesome broadcasting with you Saturday. It was really cool to sit next to you and listen to what you do and how you do it. So it was really cool to sit there, listen to, work with you. I appreciate the comments. I've been on iRacing for a while, so to hear that from someone on the outside looking in, it's really cool to hear. So I really do thank you and appreciate that. The people that make it work for me, Diecast fans, for always being on the car. They've been my biggest supporter, and I got to give them the biggest shout out. They've always been my biggest supporter pretty much ever since I first got on iRacing. HMS Motorsport for being on the car tonight, Racecom, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation for being on the car. I have to give a huge shout out to Elite Motorsports. They're always pushing me. They're always backing me. It's a great thing to be a part of in Elite Motorsports. So I got to thank everyone, especially my teammate Jared, who was in attendance tonight in the race and always with me, pushing me to be the best. So I really do appreciate everything he's done. You guys up here in the booth, I go back and watch every single race, whether I did well or not. It's so much fun to go back and just rewatch the race. You guys bring so much to the table, and it's just a phenomenal thing. Some battles that I may not see, or some things that I may not have thought of during the race, you guys pick it up and immediately run with it. So, I mean, you guys up here in the booth doing what you do, it's fantastic. Everyone back at home watching, they're pretty much the reason why NORC is broadcasted, why NORC is as popular as it is. So we can't go on without thanking every single one of those individuals who might have tuned in. The brave men and women overseas defending this great country, allowing us to sit here and play on a simulator for a couple of hours. I got to thank them and all of our first line responders for doing everything that they do. But that's all I got, Eric, for the time being and for the season.
And it's the perfect note to leave off on, bud. I'm sure you and I will be talking in the not-too-distant future. But until then, take this third-place finish behind our two now reigning or current and reigning champions in NORC, and use it as something to savor on until your next racing endeavor. Zach Lindgren, great job tonight, my friend.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
And again, that is Zach Lindgren, who rounds out our podium tonight here in our NORC Season 13 finale at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway with the Xfinity stock car here on the iRacing platform.
And finishing a little ways behind, the number 85, you'll find the driver by the name of Ashley Molyneux with a really solid finish this evening. First race back in a long, long time. And, well, Ashley, it's good to see you go out there and get a top 5.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to see you guys, too. It's also fun to be getting the top 5.
It's always good to have drivers come back after a little while away, you and Aaron Smith in that category, and also in a category as far as early race tangles. What happened there?
With Aaron, you mean?
Yes, yeah.
I turned right. I don't know why. I can't tell you why I did, but I did. I have no clue.
That's a pretty fair, honest answer. I like it. So obviously then trying to fight back from that throughout the course of the day, it was tough, but those couple of cautions came in the clutch, it seemed.
Yeah, I had a little bit of right side damage because I hit the wall a couple of times because it's me on a mile and a half. I'm just going to. I do not fundamentally understand how to drive a car on a heavily banked oval. Flat tracks, golden. Heavily banked, nah. So I scraped the wall a couple times and had some pretty decent right side damage. Under the yellow that we got, the first one, I was able to get all of that repaired. The second one, I I had a bit of a tire advantage because I went and got tires, and only a couple other people did. So I just roasted the daylights at them for like 10 or 15 laps, trying to clear as many people as I could. And it happened to get me 5th.
Hey, 5th place is pretty solid on the evening, and it moves you up in terms of top 5s, top 10s. Some pretty solid numbers there as well, even though you missed a lot of the season. Obviously, season 14, one to grow on, potentially?
Oh, that's what I'm hoping. I mean, it depends on what vehicle we're using. If it's something that I can more intuitively put onto the right rear, I think I'm going to do it a little bit better. These cars have always been a little obnoxious for me because I just never understood the mechanics of how to actually roll the suspension. It's why I'm typically decent on a short run, but I just roast the right front so bad on a long run. Depending on what vehicle we're using, I think I'm going to be a little bit more of a fight next season than the few I was able to do this season for sure.
Speaking of fights, what a battle between you and Brett Mancari there at the end. It was fun to watch. Who makes it happen for you? Who allows you to, well, log on to iRacing.com and fight with these drivers for a few hours at a time?
I mean, John, for keep letting me race for the amount of times I've had like 6-month gaps in actually being here. I'm only here like half the year most of the time. So I'd like to thank him and everyone else who races in here too. Today was really fun. It was an absolute blast because this is probably the, in terms of just communicating with other people, this is probably the most fun I've had in a NORC race in a long time, until some of the frustrations later in the race from the whole great tangle of the pace laps, which is very entertaining to watch. But thank you guys for broadcasting as well. Always entertaining to watch them. I've tried to catch as many as I could on my days off from work when I've just been trying to catch back up with stuff as well. So it's always been good to see. And so, hats off to Brett, too. Had I not had the tire advantage, he would have walked away with 5th, more than likely.
Hey, it was a really, really fun battle to watch, and it's always good to have you back on the racetrack. Thanks for coming out this evening. Thanks for making a show back there as well for the top 5, and I can't wait to see what Season 14 brings.
Absolutely. Y'all enjoy.
That's Ashley Mono finishing in the 5th spot this evening to cap off a pretty solid season. Pretty solid season, well done, I'd say, for the classic-looking blue and white number 51. A little further down the order, somebody that is a staple of the NORC iRacing series. Not a great finish this evening, gotta be honest, for this driver, Eric, but still a good day at the racetrack nonetheless.
Absolutely, especially while vying for a top 5 finish in championship points. Sean Williams. And Sean, we're watching some of the highlights here as that car came to the checkered flag. That is not the same machine that you let it down to the green flag with. You got caught up in that big crash down in turn 1. What happened there from your perspective? Looked like you guys were 4 wide on more than one occasion there after that late race restart.
Yeah, I mean, the race was going too well. You know, we had to alter it a little bit, make some changes. That's all.
Well, you ended up coming home just outside the top 10 at about 14th spot, but it was a great season for you. I got you down here for 1 top 5 and 8 top 10s in total. Picked up a number of bonus points and a couple of poles as well with the speed that you and teammate Cody Miller had throughout the Super Speedway rounds. How would you grade your NORC season as a whole?
I guess decent, really, would be the only word for it. There's so many fast guys in here. You know, I try to improve and keep up with them, but it's like I can't. So I just focus on my own race, try to be consistent, try to stay out of trouble. Didn't work tonight, but, you know, it's not always going to go your way. That's racing, so I don't know. I guess, yeah, decent.
I think that's probably the best approach to take, especially on a night like tonight. And hats off to you for staying out there towards the end. We didn't see you kind of, call it quits early, and you gave way to the leaders there towards the latter stages of that one. I think I've asked you this question before, but I think it's more fitting to pose it to you now. Now that we've wrapped up season 13. How much fun are you having competing in NORC? It seems like the camaraderie amongst drivers, even though it's competitive, it does seem to be a whole lot of respect between competitors, even when things go awry. For you, as someone who found a way to somewhat balance being competitive, successful, but also to have a good time, what does that mean to you as far as why you show up each and every Tuesday night?
Yeah, just the people here. I mean, I've done a lot of different leagues, and even the current ones that I do is still made up of a lot of the same people, so we just race more together every week. And it's just a really good group of guys. Like, I can't stress that enough. There's people in here I actually consider friends, and we've met up and gone to races and all that other stuff together. So, again, like I said before, I show up, I try to improve myself and better myself, but the main reason I'm here is to have fun, and I look forward every Tuesday hanging out with these guys. I honestly think this is one of the best leagues on iRacing with the overall talent and names that have come through here before. So yeah, it's great.
I'll echo those sentiments as well. I mean, I can't agree with you more there. And you honestly have kind of pushed yourself towards the forefront as far as drivers who have been consistent. Even though you weren't able to find victory lane this season, your results that put you top 5 coming into tonight's race. We'll have to see how things shake out when we wrap up our tally of the championship points for this season. You mentioned as a whole that it was a relatively good year for you. I know tonight didn't go that you had planned for, but nevertheless, you have a lot to be proud of for sure. Who do you have to thank for not only your run here tonight, but pretty much your success throughout the NORC season? As you mentioned, very competitive, very intense at times, but for you, a success. Who makes it possible for you? Perhaps you may... Oh, sorry, Sean. Go ahead.
Revan for putting on the league. We couldn't have the races if nobody was hosting them, and it takes a lot of time and money and all that to put it on. So a huge shout out to him, everybody who shows up and just sort of pushes me to be better every week. Everybody who's watching, and y'all broadcasting is so amazing. I really hope that we're here next season on Pit Stop TV, because you guys are great. And also, real quick, on behalf of John Barry, Revan as we call him, he couldn't make it tonight, so I was acting admin, and I know at the end of the season he likes to say some words. So on behalf of John Barry, I'd like to congratulate, and on behalf of me, congratulate Daniel Falkenham, because he had, I don't think I've seen dominance like that in any season of the league I've been in. He was just on fire. So great job, Daniel, and thanks to everybody who has showed up this season. This has been a good season, one of our cleanest yet.
Oh, we appreciate the kind words, Sean, and obviously wearing the hat of Revan is a pretty heavy one to bear, and I think you've done a good job here tonight, whether it be admin duties or in your formal statement on behalf of the league. And I want to thank, not only John, you, everybody at NORC for making this as much fun as it has been. Every Tuesday night we get together. I think I could speak on behalf of everybody at Pit Stop TV. It's been an absolute blast, and if it wasn't for people like John Barry or like you, Sir Sean Williams, it wouldn't be as much fun as what it is. So thank you so much to you and everybody at the series and with the league for putting on the races that you all have. It's been a blast, and congratulations, Sean, on a great season, and we hope to see this run and this stretch of great, solid results continue for you on in season 14.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and again, thanks for everything you do. Andrew, I know you're there. Hey, son.
What's up?
Like I said, I really hope that we're back with you guys next season, because I don't think I've ever seen such a professional iRacing broadcast, and it's because you guys are informative. I don't know, God, these stats, Andrew, that you come up with, I don't know half this crap, and I've been in the league for forever. So the preparation that y'all do and the energy, it's also entertaining, the comedy mixed in with the facts, and just, I don't know, it's great. I love watching these, so I hope this continues with NORC and Pit Stop.
It's certainly big time appreciated. I appreciate all the kind words, and I said this last week a little bit. Appreciate all the kind words from everybody regarding the entire series. And I told Eric and Emerson pre-show I might tear up a little bit. It's been a pretty wild season. Sean, you remember, a lot of seasons of, we'll call them interesting races from the old number 22 to go from maybe not the greatest driving career to broadcasting this season, and all the kind words and the difference that's been made. Bringing NORC, I think the attention and the production level that it deserves has been a serious treat, and all the kind words really, really do mean a lot. So I really just got to thank you and John Barry and everybody else. I know Daniel's very emphatic about the kind words about and the praises for Pit Stop TV, and it's really, really cool to see this investment on time turn into something pretty great. So I know I kind of went off on a soapbox there, and I'll probably do that here in a minute, but Sean, I'll let you get running. I really appreciate everything you do.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks everybody who's out there watching. We appreciate every single one of you.
Sean Williams finishing up the evening in, well, the 14th position. Not the greatest, Sean, but better days are ahead. Season 14 should be a good one.
Oh yeah, we'll get them.
Sean Williams finishing up 14th this evening should potentially look at, well, I don't know if he's going to go up there and grab another spot in the championship. We'll see. He could still get third. We don't know, don't want to read too far into it. Let's just talk about results this evening, Eric. The top 10 look like this. Daniel Falkingham by a second and about a quarter over Zoltan Herzog and Zach Lindgren a little further back. 2 seconds back, you'll find Ariati rounding out your top 5 in the final race of the season. Ashley Molyneux in that 51 car.
Then we see Brent Picari, who we heard from during one of the caution flags, able to come home with a 6th place finish in a year in which he scored, as we saw the stat bar mentioned earlier on tonight, his first NORC victory back at Auto Club, ends the season with a top 10 finish. Sheldon Lockie stayed out of trouble, did everything he had to do to try to sew up what he hopes to be 13th place in the championship standings. We'll have to see how the math falls with Ariati coming home in 4th, but for Lockie, the 69 machine ends up in 7th. Howie Briss, who had a fantastic late part to the season, I should say, in 8th. Jared Wishon, despite knocking the right side off that car, joins his teammate Zach Lindgren up in the top 10 for the final race of the season. And Patrick Colby, with a great end to his 2021, rounds out your top 10.
Finishing in 11th this evening, it is Spencer Owens in the number 12 car. Had an interesting season up and down, I'd say. Caps things off with a pretty decent finish given the circumstances. Cody Miller, Daytona winner, 1 lap down, 12th position. Cole Freilich after a night that never went his way. He didn't deserve the finish that he got this evening. He deserved something a lot higher. Got up there up front in the early goings, showed these guys he was here to tussle for a race lead, got some laps led on the way as well, and I think a pretty solid number of laps lead. We can check on that in a moment, but a pretty solid night overall for Cole Freilich until things went awry with Bobby Chaney, and that pretty interesting retaliation. We'll leave that there. Sean Williams finishes 14th, 4 laps down. Justin Gable 15th, 13 laps down.
And the remainder of our field, Elijah Gracia, who I thought was going to be a bit of a contender here tonight. Not quite sure what happened to him to put him out of the race with 24 laps to go. But nevertheless, Gracia comes home in 16th spot. Bobby Chaney and that aforementioned tangle with Cole Freilich ends up 27 laps down. Aaron Smith started on row 2. Got into the wall early. We saw the contact with Ashley Molyneux, which she alluded to in her interview. Ends up 94 laps down. And Tom Mercier, the first car out of the race, did not get to see a reason why only a couple laps in. But Mercier will finish last tonight in the final race of season 13 for the NORC iRacing Series.
19 drivers in all. It was the lightest car count of the season, but one of the most exciting races, I think, certainly. There was a lot to talk about every step of the way, every single lap, every single corner, as we've grown so accustomed to. I do want to quickly give Cole Freilich a bit of a spotlight. These are the numbers for him this evening. 8 laps led. That moves him up to a total of 18 in his career. I love looking through stats, if you can't tell. That actually ties him with a buddy of yours. Eric ties him up with Jordan Missig at 18 laps led, and I'm sure many, many more are on the way for Cole Freilich. Some of the names that he can look forward to surpassing here soon: Jonathan Shipman, Justin Bolton, Connor Anton, Eric Sabol, Sheldon Lockie potentially, Hayes Booth, Ayrton Shelley, myself, and plenty of others on the way up. I think brighter times are ahead for Cole Freilich as long as he keeps to it. It's been a fantastic season. Really, really has been a fantastic season. I can't thank everybody enough. There's so many names that make so much happen here at Pit Stop TVA. Before I talk about everybody else, I want to give you guys a highlight this evening. It's been Eric Brennan and Emerson Arden throughout the rest of the season. Guys like Trey Shuttlesworth has been a serious, big part of things. He has made so much happen for us in the last calendar year, or I think even longer. Calendar year and a few months. It's been pretty incredible what Trey Shuttlesworth has been able to do. So many broadcasts. He and Emerson Arden both have done so many broadcasts along with me, and sometimes in the absence of myself. And it doesn't stop there. I got to think back as to who exactly covered other NORC races. I think Joe Donahue was in there. I wouldn't be surprised if I think Jacob Zala, I think, got a social media day in there as well. So we've had some serious great names on this broadcast crew. It might stop there. Trey Patton might have been on 1 or 2. I don't really know anymore. It's been such a season, and I've slept since then. And Eric, I do got to thank you personally. When I hear all of the kind of claims and everything, all the production quality and the stats and everything, usually, almost all the time, right along with all of those kind words about just what they see on the screen, is the voices they hear, and a big part of that is you. Bringing your real life experience to the table for this entire season was really, really special.
I appreciate that. No, I'll echo the sentiments that the late Bob Jenkins muttered in a late interview he had in Indianapolis, where I'm just a race fan who got lucky. Every opportunity that's ever been handed to me, whether it be, with Formula 4 or FRA, like what Jordan Missig is winning in so far this season, I had a chance to cover last year, or the Smart Modified Tour this year, or being able to help out with the NORC iRacing Series on Pit Stop TV in 2021. I enjoy this stuff thoroughly, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of it. I appreciate the trust it takes to allow me to serve as a voice and an avenue to narrate something like this, and it makes it a lot of fun. It gives me something to look forward to in the midweek, where there's oftentimes a lot going on, and I've been very reflective in a lot of things that have happened in this NORC season, and I'd be remiss if I did not mention one of the biggest NORC fans and supporters that we have, and we wouldn't be anything without our NORC iRacing drivers, and also with a lot of our fans who follow along on a weekly basis on our YouTube platforms and on social media. And Logan Detweiler said a couple things that stuck out to me, one of which was he harped on his favorite moment of the season, which was Ashley Molyneux getting her win at the iRacing Super Speedway in the mid-season portion of the year. But he also echoed those same sentiments, that he would hope that Pit Stop TV and the NORC partnership will be able to continue on for years to come. But we're not quite sure what the next season has in store. I do want to say, Logan, I agree with you 100%. This has been an absolute blast and one of the most favorite sim racing series I've ever had a chance to cover. And that's not just because of you. It's not just because of the drivers. It's because of the people I get to work with. And all the names that Andrew just mentioned, between Emerson Arden, Trey Shuttlesworth, Trey Patton, the list goes on. And of course you, Andrew, without your stats, information, all the work that you do prior, the camera packs you put together, the incredible new elements that you display and are able to pull out, like the new pit stop timer we had this evening. If it wasn't for your hard work, due diligence, and all of your time commitments, we wouldn't have the broadcast that we have. I just get to show up and talk. You're the one who does all the legwork, my friend, as well as Emerson and Shuttlesworth. You guys are amazing, and I absolutely love working with you guys.
And there's a long list of great names that have come through the NORC iRacing series, and it is just a NORC iRacing series, and I know a lot of people in the league, they kind of play it down because, well, they're in the league, and I think in that same regard, there'd be a lot of real life drivers or stars, whatever. They get to a level and they kind of play it down, but this league has really meant a lot to a lot of people over the course of time, and it means a little bit something different to every single person. There's a lot of fans. I mean, the fact that all of you fans turn out in droves and you're asking us in the broadcast, when's the next Radioactive? Unfortunately, we don't know. Wish we could tell you, but we don't know. It's upcoming, but the fact that there are so many of you fans that are so passionate about this series and have been for so very long is really, really incredible to me. There's been nothing else like it so far. We're getting a lot of great broadcasts lately. We had a great one on Saturday, but there is nothing like the fan culture here around the NORC iRacing series. There is so much to try and keep up with. There's no way I could comment on all of it, but it's just it's really cool. Before we finish up this evening, one thing that we do have to hit on, of course, is our partners at Pit Stop TV. Can't get away without that, Erica. A lot of things happen behind the scenes, and a big part of making that happen is the support we get from people like Tucson Sound Art, companies like Tucson Sound Art that just want to see Pit Stop TV reach the next level, and it's thanks to them that we're able to keep chipping away at that and hopefully work our way up over the course of time. Tucson Sound Art does a lot for us, and seriously, guys, if you're hearing my voice right now, don't just disregard this as another, gotta plug, gotta pay the bills, whatever. Seriously, Tucson Sound Art puts a lot of belief behind us at Pit Stop TV, and is seriously a fantastic partner of sim racing in general. They were a big partner of the LTAC Cup Series that we had earlier in this season. Things went different ways for ourselves in the LTAC Cup Series, but seriously, this is a great, huge supporter of sim racing. Robert Pattengale, who basically is Tucson Sound Art, races himself. He was in so many of those LTAC Cup Series races, and they had a great season finishing things up on LSR TV, and I wouldn't even be sad if you guys went and watched our competitor for that one. That would be, I think, a pretty solid reason to go watch. A lot went on with Tucson Sound Art. They just sent a gift to season champion Holden McGill, so congratulations to Holden McGill. Also, congratulations on getting that sound art device, because it is a serious deal to get it for free 99 because it is a fantastic product. Go to TucsonSoundArt.com for more. You can also go follow them on Facebook and Instagram, which I would highly suggest. Please don't just listen to this in one ear out the other. Seriously, follow them on social media. They deserve all of the love they can get. Let them know that we sent you and follow along. See what they have to offer. There is a lot going on for Tucson Sound Art in the coming months. Of course, also Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine. This is a company piloted by Ashley Bollier and Evan Bollier. I'll just be honest, my sister and brother-in-law, they do a great job with it, making a lot of things happen. They impact so many people's lives and make so many people feel so much better about themselves, and that's a serious, big thing to do in the world in today's climate. It's really, really huge, the work that goes on at Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. Even getting my grandfather involved in things. He's even gotten a cryo procedure. It's for anybody, really. If you want to look your best, go to permanentmakeupinmaine.com. Of course, a lot of things happen about, certainly a lot of support from Tucson Sound Art and Permanent Makeup in Maine, but as far as making things on the screen happen, cameras, graphics, all of that comes down to Whiplash Media, the official broadcast camera and graphic provider of Pit Stop TV. Go to pitstoptv.com/Whiplash or Whiplash Media on Facebook for more information there. And it's not just cameras, it's not just graphics, paint schemes, overlays, anything like that. Hit up Whiplash Media. And it doesn't stop there, of course. BAM Racing Videos. If you think back to what was it, Race 4, North Wilkesboro, we had a fantastic B-roll package. That was because of BAM Racing Videos and the work that he has done in the racing community as of late, going and visiting a lot of lost racetracks and going and filming at a lot of racetracks across the country, most of the Southeast and Midwest, but across the country. It's a lot of great work. Check it out on YouTube. A lot of free racing to watch. That's the other part of it. Free 99, guys. A lot of great racing at BAM Racing Videos. You need to go check it out today. Eric, this is the part where I might get a little choked up. The fact that, again, I've gone from, well, I'll be honest, a couple of laughs in previous NORC races to making an impact. And I know I haven't been here for every single race this season, had a lot to do at the summer shootout over the course of the summer, but to have been here for so many of these races, brought this kind of attention, as I mentioned, and production, as I mentioned, to NORC is so, so special. If it does happen in the future, awesome. If it doesn't happen in the future, well, hey, it was a great run. Hopefully we're here. We're hoping, and we're going to make some stuff happen. That is the hope for Season 14, and hopefully we get to address you guys for many, many more times to come. All of the kind words from the drivers, the fans, the people at NORC, of course, John Barry, he's been so happy with things all season long. At least that's the impression that I've gotten. We've still gotten paid, so that's the good news there. It's been so, so cool to make so many great things happen for the NORC iRacing series, and I sincerely, sincerely thank everybody for their support.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I could really add on to that all that much, except, like I said earlier, this is one of the most fun times I've ever had on a sim racing broadcast, and there are so many layers to it. Of course, there's the quality of characters that we're able to be a part of, and I use the term characters lightly. These are all obviously real people who have real ambitions and real desires, and really put a lot into their racecraft, whether it be on the racetrack or off, in terms of bettering the league, which Sean Williams really hit the nail on the head here, representing John Berry, who really puts this league on the echelon that it stands on. But it also kind of goes towards the quality of racing. And in terms of, if I was to look back on the season and try to pick out a favorite moment or two that I may have had, I'm not sure that I could pick just one. More so, if I look at the season as a whole and I look at some of the races that these guys put on, and I've mentioned this on a week-to-week basis, even tonight here, we only had 2 or 3 cautions. Indianapolis and Dover, less than 2 cautions there. Like, the level of respect that we've seen amongst competitors, we heard guys like that of Zoltan Herczeg, champion Daniel Falking, and third-place runner Zach Lindgren. They all say that they really feel this is one of the best leagues on iRacing right now. Just go look at the stat sheet that Andrew Cardinale would be more than happy to provide you. The racing and the metrics prove it, whether it be lead changes, yellow flags, quality of racing, even our broadcast. It just kind of shows you that I don't think we oversell or overemphasize the energy that these NORC races bring to the viewers. I think we just spit straight facts, and the fact is, this has been an absolute blast. I'm sad to see the season come to a close, but I'm very excited to see what is next for NORC. With season 14 not that far away. I mean, as you were doing the sponsor reads, Andrew, I can't help but think we're less than 3 months away from Christmas. That means we're all that much closer to the start of season 14 for NORC. So hopefully we're able to be a part of it in some capacity. But regardless of what the outcome is there, I will certainly be keeping my pulse on the NORC season for as long as it's going to run, because it's fun. And that's the best word that I have to describe it. It's fun.
And I think the fact of the matter is, funding is needed to make broadcasts happen and to make leagues happen. And it comes down to a lot of support. There's I think a lot of support behind Pit Stop TV, but a lot of support that can be thrown the way of the NORC iRacing series. Check them out on Facebook. There's a lot that goes on. I think we're pretty... You mentioned On the Pulse a lot. I think On the Pulse there, trying to get some support thrown the way of the series. That would make a lot more happen over the course of time. So if you guys have enjoyed the way this season has gone, I know there's been a lot of great seasons before, a lot of great coverage and whatnot, but if you've enjoyed the way this season in particular has gone, what I urge you to do is head on over to the NORC iRacing series, let them know, and see how maybe you can help out potentially. I don't want to suggest that. That sounds kind of weird in one way, but I know that is one way that could potentially help secure things for Season 14. So I'll leave that there, and again, just want to thank everybody, especially John Barry. I know he goes back and watches these things with his coworkers, and his coworkers often see him and think, dang, that's really cool. He's a race car driver, at least in some capacity. And yeah, these guys are race car drivers, at least in some capacity. And it's a really, really cool capacity, and so honored to be able to share in the stories that come from the NORC iRacing series. We do have some upcoming broadcasts here on Pit Stop TV. We've done a lot of reflection. Let's look ahead here for the channel. A lighter week this week, and I just noticed we forgot to update the dates and whatever. Anyways, the point being, we got Dover tomorrow. We've got Talladega on Thursday. We've got a lot coming up. We got the new Outlaw Sim series tomorrow night. Emerson Arden will be on that one. As per usual, they are going into race, I believe, 12 or 13. I'm sure Emerson could correct me pretty quickly on that. But racer 13 coming up. I believe it's 12. I think it's, yeah, race 12 at Dover International Speedway. Thursday, it is Talladega Super Speedway for the MSRA Truck Series. Only 3 races left there. Talladega, Martinsville, and Phoenix. So the championship is coming to a close. Granted, Phoenix over a month away, so hey, there's a little bit of time in between there, but the drama is heightened nonetheless. Then next week, well, we don't have a Tuesday obligation anymore, so it kind of fast forwards to Wednesday evening when we've got the Cars Esport Tour from the South Boston Speedway. That's going to be a fun one. South Boston, Virginia is coming up very, very soon. Pretty incredible how quickly it's coming up for us, and I can't wait to visit South Boston in that capacity. That's going to be a lot of fun. Fast forward even further, we've got more broadcasts on the way. Next Friday, it'll be the MSRA National Series from the Charlotte Roval. That should be a lot of fun. I got to think past that. It actually kind of lightens up, but hey, there's still a lot going on and a lot of ways to follow along.
And there's a lot of ways in order for us to keep tabs on what's happening here on the platform. And first of which could be Facebook.com/PitStopTV/ Instagram.com/pit_stop_TV/ which I will give credit immediately to Emerson Arden, who's been on our team all night. He's we've heard him on NORC broadcasts throughout the season so far a couple of times when he was in fill-in roles, when Andrew and I couldn't be present. He also does an amazing job with the Outlaw Sim series and a number of other broadcasts we have here on Pit Stop TV. When it comes to social media duties, he and Trey Shuttlesworth do an amazing job while I'm flipping through my Instagram feed here on the broadcast just to kind of see what's going on while we're in the midst of our coverage. I already see that he's got everything on there, like the big wreck, the winner's photo, the start of the race. So much information is available at your fingertips through all these networks, and it's because of our social media handlers like that of Emerson Arden tonight. We're able to make that happen. That's a job that I certainly couldn't fulfill. Social media was never my specialty, but the team's got you covered. We're also on Twitter.com/PitStopTV_. And lastly, and I always say this because it's the absolute truth, I'm not on the broadcast tomorrow for the Outlaw Sim Series, but I will have my Roku device on my YouTube app, and I'll be at youtube.com/C/PitStopTV1 and checking out how that race unfolds. It's the best way for me to be able to watch a race from start to finish. Of course, we live stream on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch as well, but YouTube seems to be my go-to point. It seems to be a big home run and a hit for those who want to partake in the broadcast, be a part of the chat. Even if we don't mention your name, we know you're out there. We see you, and as much as we can, we try to engage with our viewers, That is one of the best ways, my favorite way, to watch the action on YouTube. But as you can see, we've got plenty of options available for all of you who want to keep up with not just what's happening with NORC as the season has come to a close, but everything we have here on Pit Stop TV. So many ways to stay up to speed, so many ways to stay informed, and that is just some of the examples we have for you on the bottom of the screen.
Before we drone on for too much longer and get too much more sentimental about it, we will go ahead and let you guys go. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and staying with us for so long. Thanks for joining us for tonight's coverage, and if you're a driver checking in afterwards, thank you so much for the show that you guys put on every single week and just continuing to do what you guys do best. It really is an honor to be able to cover the NORC iRacing series. Hopefully the meaning behind that sticks. It really is an honor to talk about you guys week in, week out, and play you up as big as we can, and it's an honor to have you fans watch along and be so passionate about it as well. Tonight was a fun one. Tonight had a lot of drama. Tonight had a lot going on. I cannot wait to see how the points pan out. We'll have an update for you on social media as quickly as we can. That will do it from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Once again, just thank you everybody, John, Barry, the fans, the drivers, the supporters, my crew. Thank you everybody so much for what a season this has been. For Eric Brennan alongside me on the mic, Emerson Arden on social media, Trey Shuttlesworth, who's done so many NORC races this season, and everybody else who's been a part of things. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.
Yeehaw!